Everybody, and welcome to Burnout Culture, the Hungry Cast episode, because I'm going to be eating while GC and Cullen are going to be talking about the games they've played this week. My name is Kazuma Hashimoto, and I'm one of 3 terrible hosts.
My name is Giancarlo GC Vasquez, and I am the second host.
My name's Cullen, and now's my chance to be a big shot. Be a big shot.
So somebody has been playing Deltarune.
I have, but before we get into games, how the fuck are you fucking people fucking doing? What the fuck is going on with all my fucking friends this week? We're recording. I love fucking recording. GC, do you love
GC
fucking editing the podcast?
Oh my god, I just said it too.
Do you love to edit this fucking podcast, GC, my lovely fucking friend GC?
Oh, right. I made the choice.
I think all of that
to
should
censor.
just be like one like long beep, and then
beep.
do you enjoy editing this podcast?
For the keen-eyed among you, or the keen-eared among you, yes, I did censor the swear words in the last episode for the first 10 minutes of the episode because I wanted to try to get us to avoid getting algorithm shifted because of our swearing. You know, I don't mind swearing. I know people that are like, oh, I don't like that person. They swear too much, but I don't really give a damn about it.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, like I don't really care about it. But,
I lived in Germany.
you know,
I'm sorry. I'm going to swear a lot.
I'm gonna say fucking shit.
I felt like, man, you know what? Why don't I try this and see if that changes anything, if it makes a big difference. Who knows? But yeah, so I might be on and off doing that, just letting all of our wonderful listeners know. Sometimes it might be censored, sometimes it might not be. It really depends on like
If he forgot.
if I forgot or if I feel like it's necessary, because sometimes you're editing and you're like, I don't even like, because like nobody knows 100% if the censoring is even like a thing, but
Yeah.
So you know,
Well, who
it's
knows?
here and there.
Maybe we'll get crushed or amplified by the algorithm. Tell your friends that in the era of independent games journalism, we're out there being rancid as fuck.
Yeah, you need independent podcast journalism. We don't add much, but we could say fuck.
Yeah. I mean, I can't really say anything ever because I'm always under NDA for like 2 to 3 things at a time.
I can never say
Which
anything.
is why I'm watching movies.
Oh, you know what? That's real though. Until you become a movie journalist, and then that's its own hell.
Never. I don't have the language for it. So writing about media, not to trash on people that write about games, or someone that writes about games, but the language you need to write about film and books is way more complicated than it is about video games.
Oh yeah, and like again, no shade towards any game journalist we know of. This is not directed towards you in particular, but I feel like a lot of the writing on games is essentially people writing about toys instead of genuine like media criticism. And if you do
or
genuine media criticism, good for you. But we all gotta be real here. It's a lot of do the gun feel good?
It's also like I see a lot of things that more or less parrot movie crit calling things a triumph TM, which started originally with like movies, that is now circled back to games, which is really bizarre to me because it feels like we're also playing catch up in terms of crit because we've lost so many people over the past like even 5 years that we're in a fucking horrible Ouroboros of rediscovering games criticism. Do you guys remember that period of time when like every 3 years there would be a BioShock Infinite was good piece actually piece or whatever?
Yeah.
And then there would be a follow-up BioShock Infinite's bad, and then it would every 3 years this would kind of be a cycle.
Yeah.
We could be in our next 3-year BioShock good piece. Who knows?
I gotta say, you know, for the sake of the people who do review or look at video games as like toys or whatever, I don't think that's totally useless, but I do think the games media really does have an issue of like either doing what you're doing, doing what you're saying they're doing, which is like playing catch up with like movie critique and like movie digestion, I guess. And then you have people who refuse to acknowledge that there is any like merit to game mechanics or even like a game story bearing any meaning beyond have fun.
There was actually an interesting thread this morning, and Kevin Van Ord, one of the writers on Baldur's Gate 3, quote retweeted it, and it was someone talking about not understanding why people basically critique games based on performance. And he said something really good. Now, Kevin Van Ord used to actually write for GameSpot and was a reviewer and journalist, which is really interesting, I think, in terms of the trajectory of his career going to then write on Divinity Original Sin 2 and Baldur's Gate 3. In that, like, all of these things with games, they marry together in terms of performance and the software and how it's integrated. We were talking about this, like, earlier today, GC and I, along with, like, Jake and, like, another friend of ours, Matthew, who listens to the podcast.
Hi, Matt.
In that video games, like, as a whole product TM, sorry for people that don't like, people calling things products, but it is what it is. Narrative tools actually will impact how a narrative is able to be told through the medium. So software and those technicalities are also something that's need to be looked at when you're actually reviewing or even critiquing a piece of media, specifically video games.
It all comes together, and like you need to look no further for people that are like looking at movie critique as like inspiration to write about games. Look no further than film production.
Yes.
Look at all the things that go into film production. There's a lot of mechanical aspects that go into film production that a lot of some
that
people
are also talked about in film critique.
Yes, that is like they go in depth with it and they explain like, yeah, this story is about this and you can tell because here's a scene that's like shot in this way, or like here's like the way they've framed this, or they've dressed this person up, or I don't know, here's the sound engineer talking about like the way they decided to do Foley on the project. Like there's so many things that you can derive from like a mechanical aspect. And I think the real problem with games critique is that so few people actually try to combine those two things. They always try to examine one component in a vacuum as opposed to like how those components are interacting with each other to tell that overall, to give that overall meaning, to bear that overall significance.
Exactly. And if you like survival horror games, then you get it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, horror YouTubers that cover horror games that like go into the story and then how the mechanics kind of feed into the story and how like the visual presentation also feeds into like everything the game is trying to do. You're doing great. You're doing
I'd like
great.
to accept the award for doing great here. Thank you all.
Yes.
Thank you.
Little
Thank
golf
you.
clap for Cullen, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. And I do, for my speech, I do have to agree with Kazuma and about the language we use, mimicking film crit. We can come up with better words. Language check. Next time you want to say something's a triumph, say it sucked you from the back. It's easy. This is a Game Crit exclusive.
God damn it.
These are our words.
No, it's like when everybody was saying whips ass, and the moment someone said that, I just couldn't take their critique seriously. Like it's for me. Like, sorry, I'm being a fucking pretentious bitch right now. Feel free to mute that one, GC. But the moment someone says something like whips ass or rules, I check out. I totally check out. Like, I think there is a place for that kind of criticism or like that kind of language being used in crit. It just totally takes me out because I'm such a fucking snob or whatever. But yeah, sucking it from the back, you know what?
That's good.
I can roll with that.
If you're gonna go for it, you go all the way, or use like our own gamer terminology, like pwned. Say that pwned me. 10 out of 10.
It was la epic.
It's a Mondo cringe 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
+2, +2, +2.
Say
that was real
Reddit
Roxors, or it Roxors or something.
Roxor my socks whores.
Yeah.
That was my review of the 100 line. It Roxor my socks whores.
It was very leet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, Cullen, you were playing a video game.
I've been playing a couple of video games. I've kind of
Like,
also just like taken a bit of a break from 100 line over the last like
mm-hmm,
month to kind of gear up for Switch 2. But also I put 130 hours in 100 line and I'm like, I'm not done with the game. I'm halfway
mm-hmm.
done, but I'm just like, you know, I need a break. Once again, 100 line check in. I'm going to call out the unemployed people in my life. You need to stop playing the game so fast.
What about Darumi coin?
Darumi coin is always booming. Subasa coin is now that's a coin that might seem unpresuming, but you stick with that coin and that's going places.
Okay.
I will say though, Nozomi coin continues to not move. I'm kind of poking at it with a stick and I'm like, come on, do something. Come on.
Huh.
Your
Okay.
man's getting taken because you won't do nothing.
Well.
But yeah, 100 line's good, but oh fuck, I needed a break.
Yeah.
But one of the things I put out a piece on in between our podcast episodes was I got to play the RAIDOU Remaster. Wow.
How was that? Did they change his outfit at all to make him look less like a? Okay.
He's the same.
All right. Okay, then I guess this game is maybe not getting released in Korea.
Probably not.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Um.
If you guys want, if so, those listening wondering why that is, look at Japanese imperialism and the relationship Japan had with Korea and China through the 1920s to the 1940s.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I got to play the first two chapters. It's early on where like the story's like not really anything like special. But like, you know, as a detective game, it's like kind of neat. As an action game, I go, wow, I didn't know Atlas was capable of this. This is really flashy and fun. But I do think it's weird that they're calling it a remaster when this is a full-on remake.
Yeah, they changed the art and everything too, right? And some of the assets.
Rebuilt the game from the ground up.
Yep.
Oh.
Like it is it is following the story of the original and it's trying to mimic like the camera angles and stuff, but this is a remake, like full stop. I really wish we could have like a proper distinction between remake and remaster, but like fuck if I know if that discussion is even worth having, because who cares?
It's kind of a nothing burger.
Yeah. But fucking one of the things though, like I think the only thing that I could really bring up that would be worth a discussion is this thing I've noticed about this game and a couple other like remakes of old games where there's a bit of that like original friction that's been sanded off.
Oh,
and I
no, really?
particularly mean that now there are forced objective markers all over the game.
Ew, that's so bad.
Kaz, have you played the original?
Yes, I have.
So you know how it's a detective game, right? And
yes.
The whole gimmick is that you are supposed to talk to people at like an adventure game and figure out where to go in like the city of Tokyo by like, you know, boots on the ground investigating. It now just tells you where to go. And it's like, it's something that I think a lot of people aren't going to care about, but I found myself really bothered by because like this could have just been a toggle in a menu. Like,
hey, you know, we were talking about narrative and how gameplay melds with narrative to create an experience. That fucking sucks. That actually removes like a specific game feel.
Yeah.
And like presentation by doing that. That really stinks.
Yeah, I mentioned that in my preview too, and like, it was funny. They were like, "Yeah, so do you have any feedback?" And I was like, I'm gonna talk about this in my preview, but you should patch in the ability to turn those off because it, like, I don't want to like say anything about how something in game design would be easy, but I feel like that would not be a huge lift to just have a toggle in a menu that says objective markers don't show up.
So I can totally tell you a rough idea of what that would take because I have done this for other games. I have modded games to change textures because that's all the icon is. So what you could do is you would just replace internally, if you have access to the code, you would just change the address to what texture it's accessing for the icons, and you would just have it access a transparent blank layer. just a layer with just transparency and nothing else on it, and that'll just show up as empty on screen. Like the technically the objective marker would be enabled, but you wouldn't be able to like it would be a transparent layer, so it would show nothing.
Yeah.
I did this in Yakuza Kiwami 2 where I unpacked the game files. I changed the eye patch texture for Majima's eye patch, and then I injected it into the game again to put my logo on his eye patch. And that process took like 15 minutes, maybe. It's not that it wouldn't be any work, like it you know, different engines and stuff like that, but it is not a large ask. It is definitely something very doable.
It's not me going like, I don't like the combat, patch in better combat, because the combat's pretty decent. It's like literally, it's like, I don't want to see these objective markers. Get them out of my face. Like, I had someone like get mad at me on Blue Sky. I was like, I played Nocturne and it was so obtuse, and why would you want me? And then they realized like after a while I was literally just saying like, make it an option. I don't know why something like this was just not thought about, because like there are more like, you know, like subjective critiques to have, like, oh, I don't like the way the color, like the tone of the colors is different. The palette is a bit like shifted to purple instead of green, like the original.
Like the pre-rendered backgrounds.
Yeah, which they actually do have pre-rendered backgrounds. It's actually kind of neat the way they mimic that old style. It's just like it's one thing. Like you can toggle being able to auto save your game, which, okay, I'm glad that's there, because that feels like a way for it to be like, hey, old heads, you can make the game a bit harder and add the tension back, you know, of going through a dungeon. Why not this? All that is to say, if this is added in a patch, it is totally because of me. Remember that. If you're listening to this after this game has come out, and if it is there on day one or after, I want you to think Cullen did that for me. Cullen's my friend. And I will go, that's not true, but I'm looking out for you.
In fact, they need to give you a special thank you in the credits. And if they don't, you sue. You sue.
I will. I want to be in the credits. I want them to be like, well, Cullen, you're so cool. And I'm like, flattery will get you nowhere, but I'm glad you listen to me.
Get legal on the phone. What's he doing? Nothing important. Fucking.
He's just talking about the collapse of Western society. He's got time.
He's got plenty of time to help you sue a Japanese video game company for not putting you in the credits unnecessarily.
But besides that, I'm gonna have to see how the full game is. I'll be writing a review on it on RPG site closer to launch, so look forward to that. I guess round robin. Let's fucking keep it going.
Okay, where do you want to go? You have the stick. Who do you pass it to?
I have a gun, and I have to point. I have to point at someone. Bang, cause.
GC will remember that.
Okay. Well, you guys saw that I linked that one traffic sign, right, in the Burnout Culture Discord, and it's like every week it rotates as to who the turkey is. Sorry. And this week, GC, you're gonna be the turkey.
I'm the turkey.
So you're the turkey this week. So what I did this week, I'll be honest, I was pretty fucking depressed. I got hit with a big depresso, you know, the bipolar downer. Oh my god. I got hit with that so fucking hard. So all I did was watch movies, and I played Marvel Rivals and Final Fantasy XI. And you know what? This is going to be controversial, but Final Fantasy XI is better than Final Fantasy XIV.
Yo!
Many of our friends would agree with that.
Yeah, it's really good. So I'm playing on retail because retail was on sale for $10, and it comes with a free 30-day sub. And I'm also playing Horizon, which is a free Final Fantasy XIV private server. And if you really want to check the game out, I suggest doing that, but also playing it with a controller, because it kind of plays like Final Fantasy XII, which is great.
Final Fantasy XI?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, it plays like Final Fantasy XII. And it's sort of World of Warcraft classic-like, in which I'm having to use weapons to increase my proficiency with it, and my healing, because I'm playing a white mage, except my healing goes up 0.02% randomly when I am casting the spell healing other people. So I've
Oh
been
my
running around the
God.
starting zone just fucking healing people, hoping to get my white magic proficiency up. I also bought spells I thought that I could use as a white mage, and I can't. I have to be a black mage or a scholar or whatever, and it's very obtuse. There are no map markers. You have to constantly pull up your map to know where you are. Zones are divided into quadrants. Someone's like, "Oh, where are you?" "Oh, I'm in I-9." "Okay, I'll run to you." And it takes forever. It is a game that demands your time and patience, but
It's
feels really, really fun to play.
it's
And
for
the story
Lineage
is already a lot
fans.
better.
Everything,
Yes, and yeah, and
everything
World of
I've
Warcraft Classic.
yeah,
Everything
yeah.
I've heard about Final Fantasy XI absolutely makes it seem like the game for me if I ever were to get to it. But I'm a
Oh,
petty
yes.
creature. I'm a petty evil bitch. And I like before I even had my fall off with like Final Fantasy 14 or just in general, I had people like FF11 fans, the annoying kinds, bother the fuck out of me constantly. It's like, you should play
Yeah.
FF11. You know, FF11 might be better than Toast, right? You know, like FF11 is the greatest game of all time.
So
And like,
I would agree with them,
oh,
but
I'm
I think
sure.
you'd like WoW Classic more.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I
you like
feel
WoW
like
Classic a lot more.
I would like FF11 played on a PS2 better than all like both of them, but there's no way that that's even possible anymore.
No,
No.
the servers are shut down. No.
That's such
But what
a
you can do on
bummer.
PC is you can play it through the Play Online client and turn the graphics down really low, and it looks like you're playing on a PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
And it
I want
looks
to play on a
real
PS2
grimy.
controller too.
Get
I'm
a
playing on my
PS2
Xbox, but you
controller
can-
to USB.
What
Yeah,
I have
yeah, you
to
can do that.
I true, but what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait for all of my enemies to pass away from old age, and then while I'm on my deathbed, I will finally boot up FF11 and be like, "That game's pretty good. I'm glad I figured that out on my own."
Yeah. Yeah, and I also started playing it because Automaton. So basically, Automaton has filled the niche that Silicon Era has in terms of they translate interviews from Dengeki and Famitsu and everything into English. They were a Japanese outlet at first, and now they also report in English. Is the Final Fantasy XI devs were actually going to put the game into maintenance mode and no longer make content for it. But then the players were like, please God, please don't do that. And I guess there's a strong enough player base that they're actually releasing new content for it now.
Yep. Also, a lot of people there has been, if I understand, there has been like an uptick in their player base recently.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of people from 14 are starting to move over to 11 because Dawn Trail wasn't good. And also, World of Warcraft is getting flooded with Final Fantasy 14 players. I know this because I'm on a roleplay server and I can tell when someone's from 14. I can smell the stink of it on them.
You're writing
honestly,
you're writing like your chat systems from FF14. I know you.
that's the
I know
thing.
what you are.
I know what
I,
you
I can't go to any other MMO now because people are going to be able to smell that 14 was my first one, and they're going to treat me bad.
They will welcome
Oh,
you
no,
with
so-
open
And they're
arms.
in their right
Yeah,
to
no,
do
no, no.
so.
They will actually welcome you. Like, I have a
Oh,
friend
okay.
who only ever played 14, hopped over to WoW, and was totally just like, wow, so 14 is just worse World of Warcraft. That's literally
Yeah.
what they said,
Yeah,
right?
unfortunately,
And-
that's the truth.
Yeah, and their mind is totally blown by just the experience of World of Warcraft. I have so many friends that have only played 14 that have gone over to WoW, but because they have gone over to WoW, now they are more curious about other MMOs. They've all started playing SWTOR, Final Fantasy like 11
Guild
or
Wars
Guild
2.
Wars. Yes, because
Guild Wars 2, the best MMO that doesn't charge you for a monthly subscription.
it's so good. It's so
So
fucking good,
fucking
But yeah, Final Fantasy 11, I wish I could talk about it more, but I've only maybe played like 10 hours of it. But playing it on controller is the best fucking thing ever, and it is now my go-to MMO of I'm depressed and I'm playing it in bed with my controller, and I'm listening to somebody lose their shit over Marvel Rivals, which has a new update patch. I'll just knock out my shit immediately because I want to listen to you guys talk about
Let's go.
shit. So I'll go right into Marvel Rivals, there are some hallmarks of a game sort of smashing itself in the head with a hammer.
Yes.
Anyone that has played a live service PvE hero shooter, either Overwatch or Valorant, will kind of know what these things are. That is, a release cycle that is breakneck, basically ensuring that the devs cannot keep up with patches or rebalancing characters as needed for comp and casual play, and basic things like grammar errors and issues, and you know, when you fire your dev team, that was basically your quality control and systems designers for your North American audience and globally, your game's gonna feel it, and Marvel Rivals is really feeling it. So GC and Cullen, you guys have played hero shooters, right?
Yep.
Not as much
Many.
as you guys, but a little bit.
I've played
I
a lot of
dropped off Rivals.
Overwatch. I even played Battleborn. Remember Battleborn? I played Battleborn.
I remember Battleborn.
I do too.
I remember. Oh, God.
Stop talking, Randy
so-
Pitchford.
Yeah, please be quiet.
Please stop
Hey,
talking.
did you know Borderlands is gonna be fucking $80 game or not? I don't know. Who knows? I don't know how much my game's gonna cost. Fuck you, Randy. Shut up.
Anyway.
Borderlands is a whole nother issue, and I have thoughts about it. But anyway, so GC, around what time do major kit rebalances and changes end up happening in a hero shooter's lifespan? A couple months, no, maybe a couple years down the line, right?
Yeah. Wait, okay,
yeah,
wait.
It's not immediate. Marvel Rivals, how long has Marvel Rivals been out?
Marvel has been out for like what, 4 months, 5 months?
So they completely changed, they completely adjusted Jeff's kit. Yeah, it's so his bubbles are 3, obviously. But they reduced, like, I think they increased the cooldown of it or something. He can no longer swim indefinitely in the environment, which means you're like on a little timer, like if you're playing like Johnny Storm and you want to boost or whatever. And he has 3 charges to his little patooey that does damage, and then that also has to fill up and then reset. So you don't even have a means in which to defend yourself other than helplessly spitting on the enemy.
See,
Hot attack.
the thing about like this always happens with hero shooters, and this always happens. They happen with Overwatch as well, but it was very quick. It's really weird if you look at technically this is not the same thing, but if you look at like MOBAs and you look at like how long it takes a MOBA or a classic MOBA to redesign a character, it gives you a much better idea of like the longevity of that game, right? League of Legends took a really, 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 really long time to start reworking characters. Like,
oh, I can tell you why that is, but off the podcast.
Nothing you can say on the record, but
yeah,
the and like that, like in my opinion, like the focus of like just releasing new champions and designing new ideas for like new kits, basically, because that's all a hero is. It's just like a different loadout for you to play with. Once you get to like, if you only open with like 16 characters, 20 characters, right? That's a lot, right? It looks like a lot, right? But then you got to let that meta sort of form, right? You can do little tweaks. You can like for instance, Jeff's like ult at the start of Marvel Rivals was way too big. The range on that was fucking massive, and also there was like a weird thing where it's like it counted if you were in the circle at the start
even
of
if you
the
were
attack,
in the air, I think,
and it counted if you were in the air. It was like a really tall bubble, and they shortened that a little bit, and they tweaked it. That's fine, right? But if you're doing like kit changes, like big changes to a character over and over again in the first like few months of your release, and you're trying to like, and then you're also releasing new heroes at the same time, like really think about what that means for the longevity of your game. Because I don't know, like I feel like when I remember playing League of Legends, and I'm sorry to hijack the conversation.
Go for it. Let's go League of Legends.
Like with League of Legends, it was like when a new hero came out, people were not like obsessed with trying to play the new hero that much. Like a lot of like we had so many options, and like a new hero would come out once in a while and people would be really excited, but like the meta was very healthy because heroes were not coming out every 2 seconds, right? They were coming out like maybe every 2 months. They would kind of wait a while so that hero would get integrated into the meta, and they would see how things worked out, and then they would add another one. But I feel like Marvel Rivals gets a new hero like every other week.
Yeah, it's too much.
It's every 3 weeks, I think.
That's
It's too much.
breakneck speed.
Yeah, and so you remember back when they had their North American team and they were like, yeah, we're gonna roll out a new hero maybe like once every 3 months or whatever. And everyone was really happy about that. Which means that they had content, I think, for like they said they had content ready for 6 months. And then they fired all of those people and started releasing heroes every 3 weeks.
Because they saw that the game blew up and they wanted to chase the money.
Yeah,
They
but
wanted
now
they
that
wanted
they
to
fired
chase as
all
much
of
money as
content.
fast.
it's
So
It's
so
pretty
that
bad.
service is getting discontinued by the end of the year. Is what you're telling
Marvel Rivals.
me. Yeah. You're telling me by this time next year Marvel Rivals won't exist.
That would be very funny.
That would be hilarious, but I think they make
Oh, they probably
like
make
$500 million every month.
But like, it's just so dumb because you could have been making more money for longer because like the focus would have been on like a new character every 3 months, right? But like you have season passes, you do your little battle
Mhm.
pass like every
Oh, they
month.
have a battle pass, and now they also have another pass inside of that battle pass. They're speed running to the fucking end.
They're
of
already
live
at their end of
services.
service like thing.
Yeah,
What the
don't
fuck
you
is
know?
that?
Yeah.
GC, you should know how financing in the video game world works now. You burn through shit, get as much money as fast as possible, burn things really, really fast, and then you fucking toss it out when you're done.
It's
Yeah,
not
so
right.
so they introduced another pass inside of the battle pass. So you have your standard battle pass, and then they have these things called like crates or whatever, and you can pay money for the premium crates to get more skins and other rewards. They've also added emotes you can buy now to tack onto your little player banner or use in like battles to be like a little Jeff bubble with like a heart or something. And it's like a bunch of secondary shit, right? Like still you can get free skins and everything. They have this like Hawkeye skin that looks like the Winter Soldier, so it's going to be even harder to tell apart like who you're fucking shooting because both characters can dive melee and then escape. It's oh my god. Anyways, I don't even want to get into the whole like lack of coherency for character design and skin design in Marvel Rivals because we'll be here for 3.5 hours about me bitching about that. Anyways, character identity silhouettes are important, and I can't believe I'm praising Overwatch for something, but shout out to fucking Overwatch.
Credit where it's due.
But Blizzard does it good. They literally used to do it the best. Maybe
Yeah.
they still do. Who knows? But yeah, so they're basically just like it's a race to the bottom. And I was talking to Apple Cider Witch, so Nico Deo. They write about Overwatch all the time in hero shooters. And I was explaining this to them, and they were like, yeah, they're basically like speed running to like the worst part of Overwatch.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's so strange because I'm shocked because I thought that
We had a
people in
good thing
charge-
going.
Yeah,
You fucked it up.
Yes.
I thought
you sound like the Kingpin from the Daredevil series, Cullen.
you're keeping tabs on me. Like I thought people in charge were aware that the reason things like Overwatch and what was the other like really popular hero
Valorant.
shooter? Valorant. think they're-
Battleborn.
I thought they Battleborn. Like I thought they knew that the reason those games were doing such aggressive monetization was because they knew they were at the end of their life cycles. You know, like I thought people up top would be able to look from afar and go, they are on their way out. If like
So that is largely not why they do that. That is because these games are expected to increase rev value
yeah,
year in, year out. For example, Valorant is doing really, really well, but their monetization has also gotten a lot worse. I think Overwatch has brought back loot boxes because people would rather have those than just the fucking what's it called, the premium pass, but it might be both things now. But it's such a bad, it's so bad, but everything's following Fortnite because this happened in Fortnite first. It was like you have your normal battle pass and then you have your special, extremely cool, exclusive Solid Snake battle pass that you also have to pay $10 for to unlock the character through missions, and it's just crazy. It's just crazy that they're trying to squeeze so much money out of people in the short term versus having that consistent like gain in the long term.
Yeah.
And with their team gone, who the fuck is going to be designing these new heroes? Because the systems designers are gone. They're gone, GC.
Well, they probably figured they can move it in-house, or further in-house rather, and they'd be fine because the game's popular now. So in their eyes, it's probably like, we've got the player base. We don't have to worry as much about this. They don't really realize that
they don't need to think about
lose it.
Steam DB Marvel Rivals. Hang on.
I don't think. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's just like this might sound like curtain to the point, but like I honestly think they're not thinking about anything long term.
No.
Yeah.
Like you don't fucking need to. If you make the X amount of money right now, you just have to keep doing that. And you know, as long as you're making it right now, you can go to the people over at Disney and be like, no, look, we're super profitable and this is gonna last forever. And those fucking idiots up at like, high positions are gonna be like, oh, okay. Up until the point that dips even a little bit, and then I think this shit's gonna just crash and burn.
And then they'll probably sell
so too.
They'll probably I don't know if they could do this, but like you wait until the bell curve starts to go down, and like right before anyone else can notice that your bell curve of like revenue and like player base and stuff is going down, you just sell it off to somebody else, or you hand it off to a different person to worry about, and then you get off scot-free because it's like, oh, I'm done.
So since its release, the player base has continually gone down.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna send this to you guys. Like this is natural because things are gonna drop off, right? And they still have an incredible amount of people playing the game. They have like 164K people playing the game right now, but you can see the drop off.
Mm-hmm. You can literally see the upticks when a new character comes out.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is probably par for the course for them, but like this is really unfortunate, honestly. I'm really bummed about this because I quite like Marvel Rivals when I was playing it, I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty well made game. I thought it was pretty fun. I thought their design ethos was, solid and understanding of the climate of that genre and what people wanted. Huh?
They won me back for a bit. Like, I was playing a hero shooter for a couple weeks.
Yeah, we were actually like playing it pretty consistently, and I for the longest time I swore off like competitive multiplayer games. Like I hadn't played a competitive multiplayer game in like
shit makes me evil.
Fucking 5 years before I went back to Marvel Rivals.
For our OG listeners, you'll know that competitive multiplayer games and some of us do not mix well.
Yeah, no. It's very funny to listen to my friends get real salty about stuff.
I do the same when I'm driving.
Oh God, Cullen. God, but.
Well, no, I'm not saying I'm an aggressive driver. I'm saying that I call people fuckers while I drive.
Oh, I do that all the time too.
Dumb shit.
I just listen to my sad boy music and cry on the way home.
No, I mean, I listen to like music, but I'm like, if someone passes me for no reason because they're impatient and do dumb shit that's self-serving in the short term, I call them a stupid fucker when I'm behind the wheel. I got to get my girlfriend to record some of my fucking manic like screaming when I'm in the car. I'm a safe driver too. I'm like super defensive. I take it easy, but like, and I'm the exact same way when I play like these multiplayer games. If I see someone do something dumb, I just like, I just get so mad and I start talking mad shit.
Well, you would hate queuing for comp or anything then.
That's why I don't play it.
The matchmaking system's totally fucked right now. Like, either you win really hard or you lose really hard, and nobody's sure what's going on with the matchmaking system. Even their most dedicated content creators have been complaining about it. So we'll see if it fixes itself. But basically, you'll be on like a lose-loss of like 5 or 6 games and then win 1.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I'm glad I dropped that. I think I would just have gotten mad over a long period of time.
Yeah. But,
can't believe Gundam Watch died for this.
Oh my God. I'm so excited for something that you are working on, Cullen TM. Everyone look out for it. But yeah, final note for me is I continued watching MCU movies.
I'm sorry.
And yeah, me too.
Are you in the
Me
bad
too.
era now?
We should watch Love and Thunder tonight if you have time.
We're doing Star Wars tonight.
Okay, then we'll do Love and Thunder another night because that's basically what I'm up to. I watched Infinity War and Endgame in its entirety now, back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Which do you like
And
more?
I'd rather shoot myself in the head than answer that question. Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
That's fair. I like the
yeah.
Endgame a bit more because I feel like there was like, here's fun. Here's the slop you came for, and I was like, thank God you're not dressing it up as anything more. Yummy's big slop.
Watching that was a fucking test of fortitude and like patience for me because the last like quarter of the movie is just that fight scene with Thanos and
it's noise.
GC, you read comics, right?
I do.
So
I dabble.
I don't know if you're like me and when you see things that stop making sense in terms of why is Thanos still alive when the Scarlet Witch is here? It starts to drive me insane. Why is Thanos still alive when Captain Marvel is here in the Scarlet Witch's immediate proximity? Doctor Strange is back, so why is Thanos still here? Like, I'm thinking about that, right? Because I know what these characters have done in comics or even in games.
Yeah.
So I'm just like losing my fucking mind as they're just like phenomenally losing, or they're like, well, Captain America and Thor kind of have to have the same power level for this to kind of work out, and I'm like, I'm gonna blow my brains out. I hate having the power level like discussion because I think it's meaningless anyways. But with comic book movies like that, I feel like it's like unavoidable, right? Because you're like, well, so in the comics, for those who don't know, Doctor Strange usually only arrives and like runs if something really bad is going on, and then he'll show up and he'll fix it and they'll like fuck off because he doesn't really participate in anything. He's a part of. Is he a part of Sword? Because he's not in Shield. I think he's part of Sword, right?
He's I don't remember, but he's weird. He's like busy doing. He's like Doctor Strange's.
He's doing like magic shit.
He's like dealing with like cosmic entities and like multi-dimensional dangers. Like his whole thing is I protect our universe from like extra dimensional attacks. Like that's his thing. So like he's not worried about what's going on Earth. He's worried about like the space-time continuum fracturing. Like his problems are so much bigger than like the Rhino is robbing a bank. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
it's very, yeah. But I was watching Endgame and I also kind of feel that. It is worth noting that like comic book heroes do also have rules that there's like
The
rules.
Scarlet Witch
about
has
it.
no rules. She has no rules.
Like
That's
Scarlet
the fucked
Witch
up
is-
thing about her.
Her thing is like, and the problem is like their power levels like vary depending on who's writing them. So it's like the more bullshit the writer wants to get away with, the more powerful the hero is. So like Scarlet Witch sometimes can rewrite reality in its entirety. Sometimes
she literally did that at the end of Avengers versus X-Men, I think. I think she literally did that.
House of M.
Yeah.
I think it becomes House of
Ah!
M from there.
Ah!
And fucking, and then she also does like sometimes though she can't do that. Sometimes she can just like alter like, you know, this like specific space. Sometimes she can rewrite Tony Stark's memories to make him really scared, which is the inciting reason Ultron gets made or whatever. Even though in the comic books it was Hank Pym that made Ultron, et cetera, et cetera. Which is why Ultron looks like
that
Ant-Man.
version of Ultron is actually in Marvel Rivals as an Easter egg.
That's fun. I like that.
Yeah. But
And,
yeah, it's just Endgame. Blah, blah, blah. Infinity.
I like Endgame if only because everyone's really sad. The Endgame opens up with everyone being depressed about like half of the world's population being decimated.
And then Ant-Man shows up and everything's
and then
a comedy
Paul Rudd
again.
shows up and he does like a Tim Allen and then the movie kind of just becomes like superhero schlock. I also like when Thor cuts off Thanos' head at the start, and
that was good.
And then if you pay attention, if you look at like the stump that is left behind, it just looks like a ham steak, and I thought that was really funny.
And then a little Thanos pops out of it and he keeps growing.
There's like also something that really fucking pissed me off about Endgame, and it's the constant telegraphing that Steve is gonna go back in time to be with Peggy, right?
Yeah.
Which I have a lot of issues with. Not because I'm like a big fan of like Steve and Bucky or whatever, but that removes so much agency from her character as to how she was written in Captain America and in Agent Carter, and reduces her to a reward for Steve for saving the universe.
Yes, it also
Like,
completely
you're gonna
breaks
tell
the
me
rules
this guy.
established by the movie.
Yes, and you're also gonna tell me this guy that like nearly killed his colleague because he didn't want to give up his friend would just suddenly abandon him and go back in time to be a heterosexual? Maybe. Who knows? But I think that's really cheap if you consider that this entire fucking conflict started, like, the rift between the Avengers was because Steve nearly killed Tony to save Bucky.
Is it like, I like some of the drama that comes because I like Bucky more than Steve, and I like Bucky being sad. That sounds terrible, but hopefully you know what I mean. But like,
I just wish he'd go back to being the Winter Soldier. He's so much better when he's just like super fucked up.
Yeah. But like in regards to like the actual plot choice itself, it's dumb. It feels very like, oh, Chris, whatever his face, Evans wanted to get out of these fucking movies, and we bullshitted a finale that didn't work.
It's so weird though, because you don't need to. This is the part of like Hollywood that I don't like, the superhero shit with Marvel that I don't fucking get. If the actor doesn't want to play the character anymore, you don't have to create like an ending where they literally cannot possibly ever play the character again.
You don't need to make him Joe Biden.
Yeah, literally. He could just be
to.
like, Bucky and I are going to leave now. We're not going to be part of the story anymore until Avengers Doomsday, which I guess he's coming back as Captain Hydra. So like,
just
I don't
kill
know.
him.
You don't have to. That's my point. You don't have to kill him. You don't have to have him go back in time and like meet Peggy. You can retain the point of the character, which is he has suffered, but he continues to uphold like whatever, because that's what, you know, he has this very strong like core central like integrity or whatever. But then he's just like, he hands the shield over. He hands the shield to the next guy, and he's like, "Hey man, you know, I'm
over it.
Yeah,
I don't want to help anything ever again."
Or like, it's like, oh, where's Steve Rogers? Oh, he's busy in New York doing like, I don't know, he works behind the scenes now as like a liaison for superheroes or something.
It's what we talked about in the Discord. He's standing in the corner like the Blair Witch waiting for Bucky to get home.
Yeah, he's standing there just in silence.
You think like old Joe Biden's gonna sit there while the world's being blown up by the next big threat and be like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have gone back. I could have helped."
Also, it's fucking dumb because part of Captain America's whole thing is that he doesn't age like everyone else. And like, granted, like he would be very old even if you know, even if he aged slowly, he would still be pretty old by the time like Endgame like year happens. But like, there's kind of like an underlying like nod with Captain America where it's like, no, the guy's basically Superman. Like he can be mortally wounded, sure, but that's pretty much like the only thing that stops him. It's
American exceptionalism at its finest. Patriotism, baby.
Yeah, and like the idea that Captain America can get old is kind of dumb in my opinion.
What they should have done, they should have Fox dyed him if they wanted him to age. Just say that there was like a contingency plan with like the super soldier serum, and he just ages and he can't do it anymore. He's old now.
Just have again Thanos eat him. Like they're battling out, and Thanos is like, "I'm running low on energy," and grab him and like just bite his head off. And then we see like Chris Evans run off set and be like, "I'm out of these movies, thank God.
I'm gonna go do
that's
Glass
the thing,
Onion."
though. He was like, I don't want to like be in Marvel movies anymore. And then he's fucking Johnny Storm in Deadpool versus Wolverine.
Yeah, but that's more
kind
of
of
like,
funny though.
That's a cameo.
Yeah,
I think for him, that's like he likes that character. And to be fair, the Deadpool movies, if you watch the Deadpool, I haven't seen like, I've only seen the first one, but like those movies, it seemed to me like they take a piss on the entire MCU.
Absolutely.
Like they are very deliberately like, fuck that.
It's very it's okay, I'll put it this way. It's like really juvenile.
Yes.
In Deadpool
In a Deadpool
versus
movie?
Wolverine. Yeah, but let me put it, okay. They have Blade say a slur in Deadpool versus Wolverine. It's like it's juvenile in that way, where they're like tee-hee slur, tee-hee homophobia. Like, okay, I get it. This is why I fucking hate Deadpool and the people that like Deadpool. When he gets added to Marvel Rivals, then that will be the end of the game for me. But It's they don't take themselves seriously, but at the same time, it's kind of like, God, I'm stuck back in 2009.
He is like perpetually in that era. Although you should read some of the Deadpool comics are actually really, 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 really good.
I read one with Squirrel Girl in it, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, there's like some pretty good Deadpool runs. Unfortunately, Ryan Reynolds is a huge fan of Deadpool, but unfortunately, I think he very much is in love with like the outward characterization of Deadpool. I don't know if he's like very in touch with like some of the more dramatic elements, or rather maybe when he wrote the movie, or when whoever wrote the movie for him or with him or whatever, they just kind of leaned more on like the goofier stuff that they expected more people to like vibe with. Because if you like go into like stuff about Deadpool and try to give him some drama as a character, I can hear all of the Marvel fanboys being like, I felt like it was really weird and tone shattering when Deadpool decided to like have a change of heart about like not being an anti-hero. And it's like, oh God. Anyway,
That's why Wolverine is the emotional anchor in that film, because like, and do you care about spoilers for that movie?
yes, I do actually. I'm sorry.
Okay, then never mind. Then you'll watch it and you'll be like, oh, that's actually really fucked up what happened to Logan, and like that Logan specifically. But yeah, he's the emotional anchor for that film, which is fine, TM, but oh. But yeah, I'm almost done with the MCU as it stands. I really want to watch Love and Thunder with you, Cullen, because you said it's really bad.
It's
And
so
I
bad.
Can't wait. I can't. Oh my God.
Here, if Star Wars gets canceled tonight, we will watch Love and Thunder.
Okay, cool. I love being put through the ringer of my own.
I love
Of my
putting
own
people through
choice.
ringers. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to do.
But speaking of movies, well, we didn't really watch a movie, but we watched the Gundam Seed thing, the OVA.
We watched it's like a web, I think they call it an ONA. It's called Stargazer. I came away with it saying shockingly good. Not like, oh my God, it's shockingly good, but like, oh my God, I'm shocked it's good.
Yeah, 'cause Gundam Seed.
Like this was again, they made a web series that overall like is like 50 minutes long, that essentially is just a side story on about a conflict that's happening during Destiny, and it's not made by any of the people like the main creatives who work on Gundam Seed. It's by a completely different team, and they actually knew how to write a competent story. And in a shocking turn of events, they actually show you the on the grounds effect of some of the large scale conflicts that happen to like a lot of the population. Gundam Seed, one of the biggest issues with it, and it kind of goes to show a lot of the problems with the creative team and their disinterest in the loss of human life, is these massive scale like extinction events will go through, and we never really see or feel them on like a personal level, and you almost feel like those are happening just for shock. Like, funny enough, this isn't something that they improved on either. It happens in Seed Freedom. Like, you just see like millions of people get wiped off the map, and it's just like we move on. But like Stargazer actually has you like it spends a whole episode of people like on the ground floor of these people getting wiped out and how fucking bad this is. And again, competent directing, competent, if not like pretty simplistic emotional pulls. I was surprised.
Yeah. Honestly, I was enthralled. I wasn't like paying full attention to it, but there were very, very often I would stop what I was doing to like watch. I was like, cool.
Yeah, the horrors were shown as opposed to weird. I don't know. I don't like Seed.
Melodrama. Yeah, I don't like Seed either. But like it is a pretty like self-contained little story.
Deserts when deciding they were going to become deserts. Sorry.
What?
I don't like seeds.
Oh. Fair enough. Good wordplay.
Okay. I'll flush that one down the toilet.
I got it. No. You got to keep it. It's pretty. I'm gonna keep talking. Let's talk about that joke. Let's talk about that joke, GC.
Mm,
What inspired you to make such a thrilling like play off
so
of my
anyway,
words?
I don't like Gundam Seed either.
Guy who hasn't seen Gundam Seed, but fair.
I've seen a couple episodes, and the ones that I saw, I was like, this is
Oh yeah, we showed you a bit of Destiny. I'm pretty
trash.
sure the episode you saw where like whole cities got wiped off the fucking map is around where that took place.
Everybody
or-
like I saw an episode where a bunch of people died, and instead of like having a like any semblance of like empathy for that, the characters were just like, damn, we're losing this war. And I was like, great. Good to know.
One of the biggest issues I think Destiny ends up having overall is there's one guy who is actually getting really mad about the fact that like our heroes keep letting people commit mass murder. And he is considered a villain by the narrative because he disagrees with Kira. It sucks so fucking hard. Which also kind of takes me to another game I played, because last week they put out a Gundam Seed game, a remaster of an old Vita game called Gundam Seed Battle Destiny, and it's whatever.
Yeah.
Just whatever.
Big whatever. It's that kind of era of licensed game where the budget really wasn't there. Like they had enough money to make sure the game played good and everything else didn't matter. Like there's no story pretty much, and what is there is like given to you in a text blurb on a still background. It says you could like you're allowed to pick different factions and like experience the story from like different sides of the conflict, but that doesn't actually change anything of the actual story. Like I decided for the Destiny campaign I was gonna do the Zaft route because I wanted my boy Shin, my favorite little Scrungo Bungus who the narrative hates. And but I also wanted to see like, okay, Destiny is a pretty divisive story, and I really fucking hate Kira's entire faction for the majority of that conflict. I want to see what happens if I pick the Zaft, like the enemy campaign, and like go through their story to see what happens. And it's kind of crazy how little they gave a fuck about their own like narrative gimmick. You continue to like blow Kira up, blow up the Captain Racist of the Captain Racists faction, Blue Cosmos, and they'll just show back up in another mission, like, oh, I'm back and I'm here. And like you do, like I did the whole campaign and I stuck with the one enemy faction for it. And it's so funny how it ends with you blowing up Kira and all his friends and his mech and defending the base from them in that like from their like invasion that takes place in the end of Destiny. And then the story goes like after you blow Kira up and he goes, I lost, no. It cuts to like text that says, and Kira was able to save the day and he won the conflict.
What?
And Zaft was defeated. And I'm like, this is bad. This is sloppy and bad. It would have like taken no effort at all to just write some bullshit about like, and then Durandal won and Zaft was victorious. Like one paragraph, that's all you had to put there. And you couldn't even do that. Besides that, the robots feel pretty okay. They actually have a fun little like mechanic where like with your guns, like in your, we've all played like a Armored Core or like robot games. I don't know if this is in any of the ones you've played, but if like you have your gun out and you're holding like, if you hold the shoot button, you can use the cursor to like, I guess like move where your shot's gonna be if your target's moving. So you can like predict where they're going and like pivot for like a last second like shot. Mm-hmm. It's like mechanically it's pretty sound and there's a like good game feel. The robots feel slow in ways that they should, but it's a 6 out of 10 Vita game. Like this is not essential media and it's Gundam Seed, so it's just big old with a big popping pile of
So just like Gundam Seed.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's fun. If you've never seen Gundam Seed, you're going to have no idea what the fuck is going on because they don't bother telling a story. It's a bit slop. It's licensed game slop. It's not a bad game, but it's not really a good one. And I'm trying to think if I've done anything. Oh, I guess Deltarune.
Please, I don't know what a Spamton is.
Okay, Spamton is, well, imagine a guy, right?
Yeah, okay. My eyes are closed and I'm imagining a man.
Okay. And then
please know that I've just looked at a picture of Wolverine, so that is the man
now's
in my
your
head
chance
right
to be
now.
a big shot. Be a big shot. Be a big shot. Now's your chance. Now is your chance to be a big shot. Be a big shot. You have 50 emails now that are all trying to get you to buy contraband cheese for $5 million. Please click.
Okay,
Please click them.
so I am Spamton.
You are Spamton. I think you would like Spamton.
So should I play Deltarune? I played Undertale the day it released, and I thought it was fine.
I would say there's literally no reason for you to not even give Deltarune a try, because the cool thing about Deltarune is those first 2 chapters are free.
Oh, okay. I'll download Deltarune.
Yeah, like it's so the way they've done this, they put out the first chapter for Deltarune for free to like build hype, and then development issues. Yeah, kind of like as a bit of a demo, but also to show like they just like Toby Fox just dropped it one day, like the first chapter, like all the way back in like 2018. I was in college when the first chapter of Deltarune dropped. Like it's crazy. God. Like I played the first chapter, like little bits of it, like in my college's like student center. I fondly remember that. But so yeah, and then chapter 2 came out also for free in like 2021. And since then, we haven't heard much, but we're finally getting next week, which if you're listening to this, it'll be this week, actually tomorrow, where, the full quote unquote full release, the paid release of Deltarune is coming out, which is chapters 1 through 4. But the demo will still be there which is chapters 1 and 2. So, and that'll just carry over to the full game. But okay. I guess like I played Undertale when it came out, and I thought it was okay. It's kind of a game that I respect a lot, but I don't like playing it. And this was made infinitely worse by the fact that the internet wasted no time spoiling all of the cool shit in that game. Like, it's kind of that thing when you have a game that does like one thing that's really neat, and it's something that just defines your game, like the whole like the Undertale genocide route and the Undertale pacifist route and true pacifist, like all of those like gimmicks to it, and all of the like, oh my god, it's Sans and he's battling you and he's gonna fuck you, and it's just like it became hard to play Undertale knowing what it's doing and knowing that I had to essentially, to get the most out of it, play a very like hampered version of the game, in my opinion. And I know people are probably going to jump to be like, oh, but this and that. And it's like, I don't really like, I decided I looked at all of the stuff from Undertale online. Like I watched videos on it and I got what probably the best way I could get that game, which is just hearing people talk about it, learning about the lore and stuff online. I know it's not exactly the same as playing it myself, but like, I don't think that game's for me. Deltarune is, in my opinion, a much better game. Okay. A lot is added, I think, by having a party. Like instead of just being like a single player, like, first person turn-based RPG, you're doing more of like a Final Fantasy like perspective with 3 party members, all with their own unique actions to do in battle. You have a lot of the same like violence or pacifism ways to deal with enemies, but they've done a lot of effort in like making the pacifism stuff all feel like unique little puzzles in their own right. Okay. I think the like visuals, like music, presentation has all been massively improved. Like Deltarune was the game that Toby Fox wanted to make to begin with, but did Undertale as a way to kind of, build expertise to make his dream game, which he has said is Deltarune. And you feel it. I think even if cause I'm not sure if Deltarune is the kind of writing you'll really be into, but I think
I know I won't like it, but I think I want to play it though. That's the thing, right? I know I'm not gonna like it, but I want to play it.
And that's the thing. It's a really fun game to play. It's a very it's doing so much so often, and it's trying all these different things, and it's really hard to get bored playing it. Each chapter is like 4 hours long, and it doesn't feel like it. You're seeing like so many experiments in game design kind of go through it once, but it feel like it's presented so confidently that it comes off as a coherent, consistent just style. Like Deltarune is just this flexible game, and it always keeps you guessing. And it's why like I've decided to just get it on these like as they release and not like, wait until they're all done. There's going to be 7 chapters total. The last like 5 through 7, we don't know when they're going to come out, but I'm genuinely really excited to be there with everyone else and see what the fuck's going to happen in the next chapter. Because these are not games where we'll get little like actual like full trailers or like I genuinely have no idea what the fuck happens in the next chapter. No one does. We're all gonna like find out when it comes out on like next Wednesday. And there's something just exciting about that. Like I don't think like so far a lot of Deltarune has just been setup and character development, and we don't really have like a real deep idea on where it's going. Like some people might disagree and say like, oh, but I've seen theory crafting videos and this and that. And it's like, I'm not one for theory content. Like I think it's fun to make theories, but I don't like hinge my enjoyment on theories. I'm kind of just there for like, I want my vibes and I want my good themes. And so far Deltarune's been that. Like I've really liked the characters. All the like bullet hell gameplay stuff is actually really fun. There's some like really challenging super bosses in both chapters that if you're into bullet hell, I think you'll have a lot of fun with that. It's very obvious that Toby Fox loves bullet hell. There's something that's just so fun about a game where every encounter feels a little different.
He loves Toho.
Like, I haven't played it.
Can I call this his games something that's going to be controversial? Can I call them gimmick hells because they're bullet hells, but they're all gimmicky?
I think that's. I think as long. Well, like no, our audience is pretty small, so I expect that we're all going to be cool with that. And no, you mean that in good faith. But
yeah,
yes,
no, it's just like because everyone's always like, I'm going to give this a genre. I'm like, this is a gimmick hell. Please don't call it that. Please don't ever fucking call it that. Anyone listening to this, don't call it that.
It's so fun. Like that's the thing. It's like I'm seeing all these fucking people still melt down about Expedition 33, and GC's gonna talk about that in his own right, and I'm gonna check out because I don't give a fuck about Expedition 33 anymore.
Oh, I like it. I like knowing that you're not gonna listen to me. That's fine.
Look. We both know I have nothing to add to that besides the fact that I go. One of my bosses came up to me at work and was like, Cullen, I need you to play Expedition 33. And I nodded, and then I proceeded to go home and play visual novels all night. But like,
you're so real for that. Cullen, I love you. I love you.
I still cannot believe out of everyone we know, I just didn't even bother with Expedition 33. Like,
you are living in a world of peace, Cullen.
I am. It's great. It's so nice because I just hear people bitching about the discourse around this game. And like from every literal side of this thing, and people like mad. And that's the thing. It does not make me want to play this game when everyone who is playing it seems mad, regardless of what side of the aisle they're on.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm going to play this when y'all calm down, and then I'll go, that was a good game, or and then I'll just move on. And like, that's the thing. Like, and I'm not saying any of us. I feel like the people have had a hard time just moving the fuck on from Expedition 33. Like,
yes.
If it makes them like fucking furious, or if they need to go and say that, oh, this is what Final Fantasy should be, or oh, Japanese devs don't listen up. It's just like, no, shut up.
I just think
I wish people would just be less racist about it. You know,
I don't think they need to move on. It's not that I don't think it's that they need to move on from the discussion of the game. I think they need to actually talk about the game instead of just like what the game means, or like, I don't know, like I would very much like, I'll get into it, but I would very much not be as frustrated. Actually, honestly, my conclusions with that game is like, it's actually a really good game. I'm just frustrated that we're not like having like a conversation about like design and like sort of like it's very fascinating. I'll get into it later, but yeah.
That's what I'm saying though. It's like, in a normal world, like yap away, but like no one's talking about this as a game, and it's why I just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, that's why I'm saying, like, if you're not gonna like talk about why you like the game and be normal about it, shut up. Move on. There's other games to play. Go hang out with Spamton.
Oh, I can't wait to love Spamton.
Spamton's so fun. He shows up in a trash can. Like, you walk down an alley and he pops out of a trash can and he tries to sell you shit. It's so fun. That's the thing.
Next cover be Deltarune. Is that what our cover should be?
Please, okay. Jake.
Cullen
Please,
Jake.
No, well,
Okay.
You know, Jake, I'll
Oh my god,
you.
he'd have to draw me a Sans.
Yo, I was like driving back from like, so, okay, real story. This is 100% real. Earlier today, I was in my post-work pre-podcast like headspace. Oh, gonna get food. Oh, and I was like driving.
I just added myself.
I was driving back, and I was like, oh, we're gonna talk about Deltarune. Oh, maybe I could get Jake to draw us as like Undertale or Deltarune characters. Oh, I definitely gotta get Jake to draw GC with his glistening bald ass fucking Sans head. And again, the only reason I'm bringing this up is, in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, glistening, very like pristinely like shining like bald. And then I thought, oh my god, should I mention this on the podcast? And then I thought, this is a bit self-aware, Cullen. And I'm like, oh, we're putting a hat on a hat on a hat here, and we're on so many levels of incepted like baldness. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so I lied about not knowing who Spamton is. I went on YouTube and I forgot that I watched the Spamton Love Network, but that doesn't tell me anything about Spamton.
I think that tells you everything about Spamton.
I don't know anything about
exactly.
Spamton.
That's the thing. I know nothing and everything about Spamton. Spamton is an idea. Spamton is a silly little guy. I don't know. Like, I'm looking like during this discussion, I have like gameplay stuff from chapter 2 just like on my screen, and I'm like consistently just impressed with how versatile of a game Deltarune chapter 2 is. And it gets me so fucking excited about what the fuck they're gonna pull gameplay wise and like encounter wise with all the bullet hell shit. Like, there's stuff in like chapter 2 where your arena is like moving around and stuff, and it's like, I'm sure Undertale fans are used to this. Like, it's a very like Toby Fox thing, but you can totally play Deltarune without Undertale. Like, some people say you need it, but like, you don't. I am having a wonderful time with Deltarune. Like, I'm not having like really like deep thoughts about it yet, but there's a lot of exciting stuff in this like these setup chapters. And in my mind, I'm just like, oh my god, I'm having fun playing a video game. And it's like, each chapter is short. Oh my god, I love it. I remember fun. They're fun. Go in and go, oh, I love fun. And then you get fun. Yeah. I like fun. JC, have you had fun?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes. Oh, I can't do it. I lost it. All right. Anyway.
No, just keep that in.
I had a very exciting week. I've had a very productive week in terms of personal projects, which is basically all I have nowadays. But yeah, I played a couple things that I want to talk about, but I'll try to keep all of them fairly short. I played Expedition 33. I beat it. I played the new Fantasy Life game. It rules.
Oh, so good. Can we
I
have
played-
a segment where we actually talk about Fantasy Life for a bit?
Yes.
Yeah.
I played
Continue.
Night Rain for 2 hours yesterday, which
Night
equated.
Rain, Night Rain break. They're adding duos. Anyways, continue.
Yes.
Oh my!
which
Wait,
is,
can
which
we
is super
can we
good.
actually talk about the duos thing really quick? All
Yeah,
of
sure.
my timeline is just people either going like, okay, who's gonna be the third for me and my partner when we play Night Rain, or people going, yes, polyamory win.
What is
Me
it?
and my
me and my girlfriend saw you from across the
Across
room
the
and liked
room.
your vibe.
I really want to fucking play Night Rain. I'm like hovering over the buy button on it, but like I should wait. Switch 2 is next week. I gotta be patient. But it seems way more fun than any of the pre-release like marketing or previews
We'll
led me
talk
to
about
believe.
it. I'll tell you
Yes,
about
yes.
it.
Oh,
You'll
for
be
sure, for
very
sure.
excited, I think.
I am. I shouldn't spend money, but continue. How was your week?
So my week's been, as I said, my week's been productive. I'm gonna open it with Expedition 33 since that's where our conversation went. I'm gonna open this up by saying I am not going to talk about the parry. I think
You just did.
no, I'm going to
Yeah.
avoid completely talking about whether or not the parry is good or bad. I think a lot of the discussion about this game has sort of centered around whether parry systems in general are good or bad. My opinion is that parry systems can be used well, they can be used poorly. It is a component, it is an idea, a mechanic that can be used in a variety of ways, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. There are so many reasons why I personally think the parry system in E33 can be better. I'm not going to talk about that here. I've talked about it enough elsewhere.
Yeah,
but
but how's the parry in this game?
I'm not gonna do it. So I want to open up by saying I think Expedition 33 is ultimately a very good game. And the thing that I like the most about it, after playing through all of it, I beat all of it. I did everything. The only thing I haven't done is gotten the new game plus weapons, which are just gag weapons. Although they're very good weapons, but you know, they're just a joke weapon. And I did not get all my characters to level 99 because that would require grinding, and I have a strict no grinding policy when I play turn-based RPGs. Period. The thing that stood out to me the most about Expedition 33 is its writing. I actually very much like the writing, but specifically, I like the dialogue writing. Everyone knows that I am a really big stickler for narratives. I'm a big stickler for writing choices. I obsess over those things when I look at video games, when I look at any kind of media. I'm obsessed with that sort of thing because I am a writer. I have 15 plus years of creative writing experience. I used to write short stories. I haven't done it in a while, but I spent like 5 years doing that. I've gotten peer reviewed for it. I've gotten it reviewed by college professors, just like on the side, whatever. So I'm a stickler for that stuff. The dialogue in Expedition 33 is written like a human wrote it. One of my biggest issues with video game writing in general is that sometimes it feels like this was written by a person who has never gone outside or who has never had a serious discussion with someone that did not involve deflecting with humor or yelling at them. And a lot of video game writing, no shade to video game writers, you know, if you don't have this problem or if you don't think you do this, then you're not who I'm talking about. I'm sure you know someone who does have that issue with their writing. It just feels very inorganic. It just feels very unnatural. It feels very like stilted, and it's not supposed to be in the examples that I'm thinking of. But Expedition 33 is really good. Like, people have very like morose I think is the word. They have very like serious conversations or very like, you know, meaningful conversations, but nobody turns into a crying wreck. Nobody just starts like being super like gritting their teeth and clenching their fists and like remembering the anger they felt when the thing happened. They're just talking about it. They're just talking about the experience the way that people would, which is reflecting and stuff like that. And
You should play it in French. My roommate speaks French, and she said it's actually like the way the dialogue is delivered and spoken in French is actually way better than it is in English.
Yeah. Which is a testament to, I believe, to like the writing and like, of course, the actors who take that writing and really, you know, pour their performance into it to truly capture what I'm talking about, right? I'm very happy it's like that in French too, because yes, good.
I would hope so. It would be in French, considering that's the native language of the game.
Yeah.
God.
I did talk to a few people about the overall story and like its message and stuff, and I do think it's a little messy. I do think like ultimately I thought about it and I was like, yeah, it's a little sudden what the game ends up being about. It's not like so sudden that it's, you know, blindsides you. Like the whole game is sort of built on this like sort of overall message about a certain thing that I won't talk about. And the reason I won't talk about it is because I feel like at the beginning of the third act, they kind of just drop all of the subtext, and they drop all of like the, you know, the whole game is sort of built as like a, you know, what do you think this means? Or like, you know, you trying to sort of come away with something that you feel the game was speaking to. And then Act 3 sort of just drops all of that, and it's like, no, this is what this game is about. Like we're literally like breaking the fourth
Telling
wall.
you right now. Yeah, we're telling you what the game is about
Yeah.
right now.
Not literally, but you know what I mean. Like that was just a figure of speech. But like, you know, we're breaking the fourth wall. We're just going to tell you what this is about, and like things kind of lose their impact, and a loss of impact or a lack of impact is something that I feel Expedition 33 struggles with narratively, where things happen to our characters and they feel certain ways. And at the start, I think it did it really well. But as the game goes on, you kind of just don't get enough with those characters. Like they're written well, they converse together well. Like I think those are great characters. We just don't get enough time to like really endear ourselves to them. Like they kind of, this is a character driven story where you do not find yourself attached to those characters that deeply, if that makes sense, where it's like before you can do that, things happen to them, and then what ends up happening is those moments are well told, but as a viewer, as a participant in the story, I haven't connected with those characters. Like I haven't gained like that empathy connection with them yet, but things happen really fast. And you know, I think those are like where that's where sort of the story's a little weaker, the narrative and the structure is a little weaker, where it's like things like plot beats are happening faster than I can have things are happening too fast for me to feel the impact of them happening. Right? Where like certain things happen and I can tell that they want this to be like their big like dude, but I don't have that I end up not having that feeling. Not because it's poorly told, but because you just haven't given me enough time to really ingrain myself in the world and the story.
Like, what dude you talking about? I didn't hear you.
I was just kind of like, oh no, that sucks.
Anyway.
Yeah, like that. Like it's just like I know that I should feel this way. I do kind of, but like I'm not there. Like I'm not there emotionally. But anyway, overall I think it's really good, very cohesive writing, but then also its level design and its exploration, phenomenal. I actually really like the art direction. I know we talked about how like it claims to use the Belle Epoque, but it doesn't really like use a lot of the Belle Epoque. I actually like that it doesn't. I think it does stuff in the game does sort of explain why it doesn't. That doesn't become evident until later. But I do like playing an RPG, especially a turn-based RPG that doesn't feel the need to hit all of the typical turn-based RPG biomes. Expedition 33 is mostly set in forest biomes, but they are so diverse and they play around with like what exactly is a forest, basically, to create like unique areas that feel different, and the way you navigate them also feels different. The level design is really good. People keep comparing this to like RPG, like turn-based RPGs. This game's entire level design structure reminds me of a Dark Souls or of like an Elden Ring or one of those. Like it reminds me of a FromSoft game, because side paths are very lengthy, but ultimately lead you back to the main path you're supposed to go on. In many ways, you go out of your way to get something and you don't really hit a dead end so much as like find a new grapple point that will lead you back to that area, or there's like an optional boss or mid boss that you can do the way the levels are designed, there's like these winding paths or like this fork in the road, and you really get the same sense that you do playing like Dark Souls that you do playing this, where it's like, I'm going to go out of my way to go explore something. I'm going to get something out of it, like some unique thing out of it. And then I know I'm not going to have to backtrack, which is like something I wish more something I wish more RPGs did, which is if you're going to make if you're going to make the player go, if you're going to entice the player to go off the beaten path, make it so that the beaten path leads them back to the main path. Don't make them backtrack. It feels bad to have to turn around. Do you know what I mean? Like turning around when you're exploring like a dungeon feels bad. I don't know how to explain it, especially when random
Like
encounters are a thing. Huh?
Like backtracking?
Yeah, like when I hit a dead end in a dungeon and I open a treasure chest and then I have to turn around and then I have to fight enemies until I get back to the main path. I actually don't like that feeling. I actually find that really annoying. Like, not super annoying that I'm like, this game's stupid, but like, there's like a little part of my brain that's like, couldn't I have just, like, I can see it from here. Like, couldn't you have just like put like a little tunnel or something to let me just get back to where I was? And Dark Souls doesn't have that problem, obviously, because when you hit a dead end in Dark Souls, you get on an elevator and it makes a shortcut and you're like, oh, okay, great. But that's what I mean. The level design in this game is really good. The environmental design is really good. The concept, the art direction and the art style, I really, really like. I really like it. It grew on me. It was a little bit jarring to see like the what is it? The Kingsglaive outfits on like this thing. But like eventually I kind of, as you play the game, you kind of like, I don't want to say I give it the excuse because of what I know about the game's story, but I kind of do. I kind of give it that excuse because I'm like, oh, okay, this is that. So that's why this is so jarring, because this is this, and you know, stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, that's actually a great way, a great excuse to give yourself. So yeah, those things are great. I have no problem with those things. I loved it. I love the exploration of it. I love the world of it. I like the overworld in that game is fantastic. Exploring that is great. I kept running into situations where I was finding stuff that I hadn't seen before, stuff that I had missed. I can't tell you the last time I ever played an RPG where like I legitimately just did not see secret areas until later in the game when I revisited old zones and I was like, oh shit. And I kind of really liked it. I liked the fact that like I missed something, but I could go back and get it. That's great. However, Expedition 33.
I like how you and I are like in total opposition to this, where I'm like, this game is trite. I cannot. I think it's a solid 6 or 7 out of 10. I really don't think it's as good as everybody says it is. But continue.
I give it a lot of credit for what it's doing. I don't think I would disagree with any of your complaints, but I think I just value those things a little. I value certain things more. And the things that I value more, it does better, I think. However, this game is, people are going to get mad at me. I don't mean this to sound as incendiary as it's going to be, but
don't worry. I called everyone's game of the year trite and uninspired. GC. Nothing is gonna get people more upset than that.
This game is the most unbalanced RPG I've ever played in a long time. This is one of the most
hollering in the back, like just fucking yeah, go say it.
This is one of the most unbalanced things I've ever played, and I don't say that lightly. I am a big stickler for balance. The many systems in Expedition 33 are very ambitious and they are very cool and they do come together. However, there are so many little things in the way these mechanics interact, and there are so many things in the way they have designed the interaction and the way that you come across these mechanics, that you truly are funneled into one specific kind of play. Because if you were to find a way to break away from the playstyle that the game is heavily encouraging, you completely break the entire game. And I'm not talking about, oh, you can parry forever and like beat a boss. No. when you break this game, you do 10 times the damage you need to do to kill the hardest boss with the most HP in the game in one turn, in one attack.
I feel like that would drive me crazy, but I don't like playing optimally in games.
The thing is that it isn't that hard to do, and I'll get into that. First of all, weapons in Expedition 33, really love them. I think they're really good. Weapons, you get 3 abilities. The higher you upgrade the weapon, the more of those 3 abilities you unlock. So at level 20, you have all of them. At level 20, you have all the abilities, and then weapons can be upgraded up to, guess what? Level 33. Haha.
I clap.
Yeah. Character skills. You can unlock character skills. There's a lot of different ways you can build the character. You can, in fact, unlock all of a character's skills by the time they reach level 99. You can only equip 6 of them at any given time, right? That's a balance. That's a decision factor for a player. That's interesting. Same thing with weapons. You have a lot of weapons. They all have different passives. They all do different elemental damage. They all scale off of different stats. How are you going to build your character? Match your skills with your weapons. That's player choice. That's player agency. That's great. No problems with that. Then we get into Pictos. Pictos are the keystone of this entire game, and they are not that great. Theoretically, they're awesome, right? A Picto is, you have 3 equipment slots. They're basically armor. So you have 3 equipment slots, and you slot a Picto onto one of those slots, and the Picto gives you a passive ability. It can range from giving you extra AP when you dodge to plus 30% damage to burning enemies. Remember that. That's going to be important. In addition, if you beat 4 battles with a character who has a Picto equipped and they stay alive for the battle, if you beat 4 of those, while that Picto is equipped, you will learn that Picto's passive ability, and then anyone in your party can equip that ability using Lumina points, regardless if they have the Picto or not, right? So the idea is you put on a Picto, you do 4 battles with it, you master the Picto. Now everybody can use the ability that Picto has, whether or not they have the Picto equipped, right? As long as they have enough Lumina points. You get a lot of Lumina points in this game. You get like I ended my playthrough with like 260 Lumina points on each of my characters. That's a lot. The highest Picto cost, the highest Lumina ability cost is 40. There's only 2 of them that I know of that have that. There's like a handful that have 20. There's like a ton that have 15. And then there's like even more that have 10, 5, 3, 2, 1. So you can equip a lot of these abilities, right? And that's where your character builds come into, right? You start getting Pictos. They do certain things. You notice, oh, this does extra damage. This lets me do extra damage to enemies that have status ailments, right? And you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna build my character around causing status ailments and stuff like that. Seems interesting, seems cool, works well with the skill list and the weapon stuff, right? The problem is that you get another thing, Pictos give you stat bonuses. So some Pictos will increase your vitality, some will do your might, your agility, your crit chance, your defense, etc., right? Each Picto does a different stat boost. You have attributes in this game that you level up with attribute points upon level up. They go up to level 99. You can max out 3 of the 5 attributes by the time you hit level 99, by the way. Because, Pictos will just add bonuses to that, right? The problem is that, several problems actually. You get a new Picto about like every 5 minutes, there's a new one. So every zone has like 10 Pictos, maybe 15 if there's a merchant more. So you would think the idea of this game is, oh, let's equip Pictos that give us abilities we want. And then as we slowly get new ones, right, we'll swap them out, learn them, and then equip the passive abilities we want using our Lumina points, and then keep the Pictos with the good stats on our person. But you get so many Pictos so fast in this game that becomes detrimental, because clearly the game is throwing Lumina points at you. You can get a consumable. You can buy like Lumina points off of merchants like candy. You can buy like 10 at a time from any merchant, right? They usually have 10 in stock. You can just buy all of them, and they're really cheap. They're like 1,000 chroma bucks or whatever it is. And so, in your brain, you're like, oh, clearly I'm supposed to be popping these in to learn their abilities and then putting them on as passives with my other point system, right? But you're getting so many that it becomes impossible to keep up with them. So what you end up doing is completely foregoing this idea that Pictos are equipment. These are materia. You are learning abilities. So you throw out all the stat stuff. That's one. Two, the menu design in this game is pretty bad.
Oh yeah.
They were going for a one-pager approach. A one-pager, for people that aren't familiar with that concept, is everything on one page. Everything you need, put it on one page, right? So the problem with that is your stat screen is on the upper right corner of your screen. It's very small. It's a little wheel. You can barely read it. And your Pictos are on the left side of the screen completely. And it does not tell you how much it increases your stat until you put it on. I did not know Pictos raised my stats until like 3/4 of the way into Act 1, or like towards the end of Act 1. So like 15 hours into the game, because I could not see, I did not have visual clarity of the fact that Pictos were doing that to my character, right? So it wasn't clear. So that's one. But two, that kind of doesn't matter because the game also isn't even built around you doing that with your Pictos. The game is clearly, like, enemies are clearly tuned to people who are not doing that. It's tuned to people who are slapping new Pictos on to learn abilities. Okay, GC, that makes sense. Like, what's the problem? Like, okay, so you just swap them out, ignore that entire mechanic. Well, the problem is that now I'm ignoring an entire mechanic that is in place for a reason, right? Nobody puts anything in their game for no reason. If a developer puts something in their game, they want you to interact with it. Nobody ever fucking built an entire secret dungeon just for you to go, and then not do it. Nobody does
Final
that.
Fantasy Game Boy ports would disagree.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
No,
fuck them. People make mistakes. So you're already not building towards this thing, right? You're not doing these stat things, right? And you're amassing all these abilities, and you would think that's fine, right? You would think that's okay. But what ends up happening is once you start getting enough abilities and once you get enough Lumina to like equip those abilities, something kind of fucky-wucky happens where it doesn't take long for you to realize that if I put on an ability that adds burn damage to an enemy, and then an ability that adds 30% damage to burning enemies, and then I put on my other ability that doubles burn stacks, but then I put on my other ability that gives me buffs when an enemy is burning, but then I put on another ability that gives me 30% extra damage, but I can't be healed, then it doesn't matter if I can't heal because I can one-shot everything before it kills me, right? I don't have to play defense if everything blows up around me before it has a chance to act. This is very easy to do in this game. By the beginning of Act 2, I was doing this, and I was also doing something else. I was hitting the damage cap. So I feel personally, this is speculation, but I think Expedition 33 has a damage cap because they realized that very early on in the game, you are able to hit ridiculously hard without a damage cap in place. By the end of Act 1, my characters were constantly hitting 9,999 damage. And I thought, this is the game. I've hit damage cap. Now I have to maximize the number of hits my attacks do. So I started fighting enemies that the game did not necessarily want me to go fight yet, but they were there and I could do it. And I started to do it. And I was really struggling because I kept hitting damage cap and I couldn't do more damage. I couldn't possibly do more damage, right? And I kept getting really frustrated because I kept getting one shot by these enemies because I would be missing some parries. people will tell you. So there's already sort of an indication here that they knew that you would become insanely busted too fast. So they give you a damage cap. I didn't know that damage cap comes off later in the game because I don't know the future. So I assumed there was no reason for me to come back later, because if I hit damage cap and I don't know you're unlocking the damage cap later, right? In my head, I go, well, there's no point. Like, my characters are going to keep leveling up for the next 20 hours and nothing's going to change, right? Because once you hit damage cap, any increase to your stats, any change to your stats, any growth your character has after that fact doesn't matter because you hit the damage cap. It is irrelevant. It is irrelevant. Like once you are doing maximum damage, it doesn't matter if you put on a new thing that gives you plus 30% more damage. That doesn't matter because you're doing the max damage already, right? So I spent the entirety of Act 2 banging my head against enemies that I couldn't beat in a reasonable amount of time because I assumed that this was as good as it got. And I was getting really frustrated because I was like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm going to spend the rest of this game leveling up, but it doesn't matter because I'm already at the ceiling. And I feel like that is a thing they put in place because they knew that their system was not tuned for people who took 2 seconds. It's not even that hard. I swear to God, it's not even that hard to get busted. Like, we talk about optimization in RPGs, but like optimization in RPGs is like putting Titus down Waka's path to increase his aim so that he gets, like, you know, good crits on his limit break or whatever. And like that takes, like, you have to be very exact, and like the spheres that you spend in it and this and that, whatever. That's not what Expedition 33's optimization looks like. It is literally go through your list, put on anything that says the same thing, and just stack, because everything stacks. Without optimization, and I mean it, I wasn't optimizing at all. I was just slapping on things that looked good. I was doing 2.5 million damage per attack after the damage cap gets alleviated. The boss with the most health in this game is 60 million HP. So every attack I was doing was taking off like almost 5% of his health every attack, right? But before that, I was really frustrated and I was like getting fed up with it. And I have a really bad problem with this. I have a really bad problem with Expedition 33 so clearly being able to be broken in half so early, and then they just arbitrarily limit your damage. But then what ends up happening is it makes the entirety of Act 2 feel like shit, because the entire like system breaks because nothing I do will change the outcome. I can get the most hit moves and I can spam them, and then the game becomes very monotonous because now I'm just doing that. And people will say, well, the point is that if you want to fight that boss and you want to do it well, you just have to keep parrying, right? And people will say, oh, you know, if you miss your parry, that's a skill issue. Let me break it down for you with mathematics, because I'm a maths guy. I'm a numbers guy. Enemy attacks in this game on average. This is just design. I'm not talking about like anything else. I'm talking about from a design perspective. Enemies in this game do 4 to 5 combo per attack. So you're not parrying once or twice. You are parrying 5 times in an arrhythmic timing. So it's not by rhythm either. Some people are like, oh, it's like a rhythm game. No, it's not, because rhythm games have music that you time your attacks to. That is not a rhythm. This is not a rhythm game. The enemy moves are specifically designed to fuck with that. Here's the problem. If an enemy is doing 4 to 5, like if I have to parry an attack 4 to 5 times per attack, and it takes me 60 turns to beat that enemy has 60 attacks that it gets to make against me. 60 times 4 is 240. So you are telling me that the reason I couldn't beat the boss wasn't because I wasn't doing enough damage to it. The boss that took me an hour and a half to beat in one sitting, like in one fight, an hour and a half for one fight, not like, oh, an hour and a half of you repeatedly trying. No, one battle took me an hour and a half. The reason you died to this boss, the reason you can't beat this boss isn't because the game has an arbitrary damage cap that prevents you from taking advantage of the skills that the game gave you early on. The game has given you these tools and you figured out how to use them. the reason you're losing is because you missed 1% of all the parries you were making. In my opinion, in my esteemed opinion, that is absurd. That is ridiculous. That makes no sense to me. There is a big difference between somebody who has all the tools to make something and they make a mistake and they go, oh fuck, that's my bad. Like, and you gave them all the tools to do it, and putting someone in a room with no tools and asking them to make the same thing. You have, in Expedition 33's case, there are many, many instances where the game deliberately takes away your tools or handicaps your tools in order to hide the fact that they did not tune anything to the scale of the game. Because once the damage cap gets unlocked, before I optimized anything, before I added anything to any of my characters, I started doing ridiculous amounts of damage, which told me as a player that I was doing nothing wrong. The game just decided I wasn't allowed to beat those enemies in a reasonable amount of time because they didn't want me to do it this early. That sucks. If you're going to do that, don't let me fight those enemies before that. If you're going to do, like, I'm sorry, there is no world. Maybe there's like, I know there's like fucking sickos out there who are like, oh yeah, dude, like I parried 1,000 times in a row and I was doing like 4,500 damage to this boss with like 20 million HP and it took me 2 hours, but I fucking did it. I'm so good. Oh fuck, dude, I'm so good at RPGs. You are such an outlier. You are such a specific case. Like that is nowhere near what should be the expected result. And I deeply fundamentally found that incredibly frustrating about this game, to say nothing of the parry system itself. But to conclude, because I am out of time, the problem with Expedition 33 is not the parry system. It's that the game gives you tools to not have to use the parry system, but it so clearly wants you to rely on the parry system, and it so clearly wants you to not explore its mechanics because it is very much afraid of people breaking it in half until a point where it feels it's okay for you to do that. And I have a problem with that. A really good example, Final Fantasy X, there is a damage cap that you can uncap in Final Fantasy X. If you are hitting damage cap in Final Fantasy X and you don't plan on doing side content, number one, you can't do side content until you are able to break the damage cap. But number two, if you don't want to break your damage cap and you just want to go beat the game and you don't want to do any of the side content, you can. Because at the point that you're doing 9,999 damage in Final Fantasy X, it is irrelevant. It is fucking irrelevant what else you can do with those characters.
I'm going to say one thing, and this is going to make a lot of sense. I think the director or something does like no hit, perfect parry, Devil May Cry runs, and he loves the Royal Guard style. And I think if you just know that about him and you've played Devil May Cry, it all makes sense regarding the game design philosophy of Clair Obscur.
That's great. And I totally love that for him. And I totally get wanting to make a game for you because that's how you should make things. But also, if you're going to commercialize that game and sell it, you should maybe think about like the fact that not everyone is like you, and like, try to alleviate just a little bit, just make it a little easier. I don't think lowering the difficulty is a solution because, again, the damage cap is there. So even if you lowered the difficulty, you would still hit that wall. But also, to conclude my point about Final Fantasy X, in Final Fantasy X, going to beat the super boss, in the process of doing that, collecting all of the weapons that unlock the damage cap is part of the little journey that you make to go do that. There's none of that in Expedition 33. Expedition 33 doesn't have weapons that do that. It's all just time locked to story progression. That feels like shit. And I'm sorry. I love that game a lot. I had a really good time with it. I still think it's like a 9 out of 10 game. But like the part of me that is obsessed about how RPG mechanics interact with each other is just like my head is on fire. Yeah. Like just for anyone who hasn't gotten there yet, just know the damage cap does get uncapped. Forget it. Don't even do any of the side content. Don't even bother. None of the stuff you get even matters. Like none of it's like impactful enough to like make a difference until you get to Act 3 anyway. Like just beeline that game until you get to Act 3 and then backtrack or go back to old areas and like go do all the stuff that you had missed or that you had skipped because you didn't want to like whatever. Because like that game very much de-incentivizes you from doing any of that stuff, and that sucks. Like that genuinely just feels bad. And I want to make it clear, it is not bad because it's hard. Okay, it's not good when it's easy, and vice versa. Design is design, and hard design can be done bad, and easy design can be done bad, and both of those can be done good. I think this game is very clearly, they did not balance this game out very well. I think that is a huge point of contention. I know, but I am standing my ground on that. I do not think this game is well balanced in the slightest. It is very much a game that is more focused on doing cool thing and having cool thing in it, not necessarily being consistent or giving players the opportunity to do cool thing outside of what they think is cool thing. Anyway, that was Expedition 33.
Time to end our podcast with the question segment. All right. We got a lot of good ones today. DBD asks, hey, Cullen, I remember you briefly mentioned it in a prior episode, and so I was curious. What is your beef with Hayao Miyazaki and or his works?
He's a hack.
He's a hack. That's pretty much it. Guy peaked at that era between Castle of Cagliostro and Castle in the Sky, and I don't know. I like there are movies of his after that I still like. But I think what it boils down to, and I think this is just purely like a difference in what I value in movies versus what I guess Ghibli fans value in movies. And it's just like and also it doesn't help that these movies are lauded as the greatest things ever made. And so the expectations are very high when I go into these movies and find them to be very pretty movies about nothing. And for some of these movies, I think that works better than others. And then you'll get something like Spirited Away, which I think is one of the most overrated films of all time. Yep. So it's like, and it's frustrating as well, because I found the like golden like standard of Miyazaki movies with Lupin III, The Castle of Cagliostro. And that's the first thing he ever directed. So it's frustrating that it's basically like, it's all downhill from here. Also, Porco Rosso is one of the worst movies I have ever seen.
I like Princess Mononoke. I like Castle of Cagliostro. I don't like any other Ghibli thing.
I think a lot of his stuff is really overrated, and people, because I don't speak Japanese, don't actually read a lot of his other commentary. Like, for example, he gave Nazca big breasts because it makes her motherly.
I would have preferred to not hear that.
Sorry, I'm just like, like the things I know, right? Like, I'm just like, yeah.
That's not a mad at cause thing. That's a shut the fuck up Miyazaki thing.
Yeah.
You can goon on with your characters in your own time. I don't need to hear about that. You don't need to get the goon on the paper that I'm reading from.
I also think he gets praised. Yeah. I think he gets praised a lot for being as abrasive as he is. And recently people have sort of like turned around on that, in which they're like, dude, if my dad walked out of the movie that I made and like never came back, I'd be really fucking like depressed about it. Because people were just like, oh, the movie's so bad, Miyazaki left, LOL Lamau. As opposed to Miyazaki being like a
bad dad,
father. Guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't watch From Up on Poppy Hill unless you want to watch. Unless you want to watch what if the thing Old Boy said, but the guy that made it was like, no, actually, that thing that Old Boy said was bad. I kind of like it.
That
movie.
The Wind Rises also isn't great either.
So I think that was one of the first ones I ever watched. I didn't grow up with Miyazaki. I think I watched Kiki's Delivery Service at like a daycare when I was young, and that was it. And then, you know, when I was a teen, Wind Rises came out and everyone like, it's his last movie, he's retiring. And so me and my friends were like, that's an event, you know. I was like, let's go see that. And I walked out, I was like, that was kind of whatever. And then I watched Spirited Away and I left that, I was like, that was kind of whatever. That was even more whatever. And then I rewatched it again like a year or so ago, and I was like, that was, nothing happens in the movie. And not even in like a good nothing happens in the movie way. I just was bored. Also, if you have a friend, or if you are the friend who tricks people into seeing Miyazaki movies dubbed, you are a bad person. Those dubs are not good. Those dubs are it is, and that's more of a Disney thing. Getting normal film actors to pretend to be voice actors will always be a bad idea because they cannot do it.
It's a different kind of acting.
It's a completely different kind of acting, and unless you're Robert Pattinson, I think
you can blame Disney for that. By the way,
of course, which I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
But like, apparently Robert Pattinson fucking kills it in that last one that they put out.
He's a weirdo in that.
But he's a weirdo freak, and you know what? If there was someone to give it all, it would be that guy. But I will say though, Cullen, little nerd moment. This has not been covered like barely at all, and the voice director like kind of leaked it in a way in like a fan interview. But Castle of Cagliostro is apparently getting a new dub with the modern Lupin cast.
Okay.
Ooh.
And they're like, you know, those are voice actors. They're getting the people who, you know, are now these characters. And it's like, that's genuinely really exciting. And I really hope they actually put that back out in theaters. I want to see that dub as soon as possible.
I would love
because
to watch
modern Lupin dubs are fantastic. And again, Castle of Cagliostro is one of my favorite movies. I will take any excuse I can to rewatch that movie. But
is Jigen still the same actor as like before?
Well, Jigen's the like voice director.
Oh shit.
Yeah. What's his name?
My capacity for misogyny is legendary.
Oh my gosh.
God, wait. Cut this bit out. Yeah, Richard Epcar is the guy who like just said this on a like a fan interview. It's like it's happening this year or like maybe next year. I don't know when, but he says it's like soon. So it's exciting. I like to talk about the good Miyazaki movie, which is this fucking masterpiece Lupin the Third story that they apparently created entirely in like, I think the story is either 4 to 6 months, and you watch this movie and you go, what? Yeah. How? But GC, have you seen Castle in the Sky?
I've not.
We should watch that one because it's the parts of Miyazaki's movies that I think are actually good. Like it's that like slower, adventurous, like kind of pace though. It knows how to get wistful. It knows how to be quiet. It's not just like bombast and flashy animation for like nothing happening. It feels like a actual like little fun adventure film.
It feels like more of a story and less of a show, like a reel of like animation work. Yeah.
It is the closest I've gotten into watching all of his movies to Castle of Cagliostro in that way, even though there's no Lupin the Third with maximum level Riz to keep your story like just consistently engaging. God. Well, Kaz, have you seen Castle of Cagliostro?
I have.
I like that movie. It's good. I was looking
I think
for
it's
an
good because it's not when Miyazaki starts writing his own shit, then I check out.
Yep, exactly. Which funny enough, he was part of that era of Lupin. I think he did some of the writing for like Lupin Part 2, but like it is so obvious how things shift.
He had the confines. He had the confines of it being Lupin.
Exactly. And it's like there's such a shift between it's like pre-Cagliostro and post-Cagliostro in his work. But yeah. So they're not the nicest thing I could say is they're not for me. The meanest thing I can say is he's a bit of a hack. And I think it's like genuinely kind of cruel the way he talks about his children's creative aspirations, because the bar set for them is so ridiculously high. And then you watch some of his stuff and you go, all this for what? He sounds like he's like a really terrible dad. Anyway, go watch Castle of Cagliostro. It's good.
Let's stop there.
But well, stop it, Castle of the Sky. I think that movie's really cool. But anyway, so Buster asks, my fellow burnouts, and I want everyone to answer this with a yes or no. Donkey Kong?
No.
Banana.
DC failed the challenge.
Oh, banana. Sorry. Yes.
All right. Bram asks, so seeing all the games influencers and journalists online scramble to get a Switch 2 for their coverage has me relieved that this sort of thing is not my job. Does doing coverage as a job get exhausting enough that you ever truly miss doing it as a hobby only?
Yes,
and that's why
okay,
basically, go first, Kaz. You're the most
let
professional.
me fucking say this, okay? So like, there are days in which when I was doing this full time, even before the harassment got like the Asmongold thing happened, right? Like, I would lay in bed and dream of being a watchmaker. I would be like, God, what if I just went to like Austria or like Germany and like just became an apprentice watchmaker, or France? What if I just did that? What if I just left this behind? I don't have to cover SGF this year, by the way. I'm not going, and I feel so good. Last year, I was taking meetings from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every single fucking day. And that was doing interviews, previews, writing things up, because sometimes embargoes are the exact same day. Like, people do not understand how far coverage plans go back for something like the Switch. I was talking to a friend who works for Game Informer, I think like 2 months ago, and I was like, hey, are you going to be at SGF? And he said, no, because Switch 2 coverage is more important than Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest.
I'm
it's
actually
fucking crazy.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, speaking of that, I am actually one of the handful of people at RPG Site who will be dedicated to Switch 2 coverage on launch. But having said that, I am getting that console as like an enthusiast first and foremost, but God, not even related to games like coverage, but just like working like a really high stress job. There are times in which I'm like, I could go to a small town, go off the grid and open a coffee shop, and I think I'd be happier.
Yes. Oh my God. Like when everyone thinks this shit's so fun because you get to play video games and, you know, you engage with media critically and it stimulates the brain. Ooh, but it's also like, is it
Burnt out?
Like, is it worth it? Is it fucking worth it?
Not always.
Exactly.
I make close to the same amount of money doing YouTube as a hobby as I do doing guides. That's the send tweet.
That sounds bad.
Yeah.
I do this. I am an influencer as a hobby, but I have desperately tried to make it a career for many, many years. And my main coverage is Like a Dragon. Is this exhausting? What do you think?
I can't imagine. Like every year you get either slop or like a fucking diamond and a fucking turd.
Yeah. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. At some point it's like, but hobbies are exhausting too. Like
hobby enthusiasts, that can be, because that's like the internet has kind of made that also into content.
Yeah.
There's no just enjoying things to enjoy anymore. Like with
you have
online
to enjoy
spaces.
things privately. Like you actively have to like be like, okay, I am enjoying this thing privately and I am not going to make it something I post about, right?
Exactly.
Like there are things I do that are private, that are my hobbies, that I don't post about because those are for me and no one else, right?
Yeah.
And I feel good doing those things. And it's important to have hobbies, especially when you work in our line of work, because video games can be your hobby and your leisure time, but then when it just becomes all of these things all at once, there is no escape and you are always stressed out and you start losing your hair. Take this from Yeah, from fucking experience here.
See, and as someone with luscious, full locks and a long head of hair, I got out of the game pretty early. I think in 2020, I tried, like, I got laid off at GameStop when, like, COVID got really big. So I was like, fuck it. I write part-time at RPG site. I'll just make this a thing. And it's not healthy. Like, it's super, like, big respect to the people who can make it work for them. But I think those same people will know and agree it's fucking grueling work. Like,
a job is a job.
It is a job, and it's not really a healthy one or like consistent. I gave it up. I had to go back to part-time, and I got myself like I call it like a real ass job, not to say game journalism is
9 to 5.
I got a 9 to 5, a consistent job that had exact like expectations, because like just even in my like, because I was like, my life was playing games, it like got into my like relationships, it got like in my real world, like it just kind of like bled in, and it's like I just was that guy who could only ever talk about games because that's all I did.
Yeah.
And like, I still love video games and I talk about video games all the time to all my friends, but like that I had to make that separation because it just wasn't working for me, both financially and like, personally. Like it's just not, it sucks. And it's why like, I'm looking forward to writing some coverage for like RPG side on like Switch 2 stuff, because like mainly that overlaps with my own personal interest, because I'm a fucking hardware geek and I like talking like backwards compatibility fascinates me. But if Switch 2 was a grueling, like, Cullen, you have to make X amount of articles. Oh, I hit the mic on that one. I'll just redo it and GC cut that out. It's like, oh, Cullen, you have to make X amount of articles and you have to do this, and this. And this is more like me saying like, hey, I'm not going to SGF. I live on the other coast.
I wish you were coming to SGF so we could hang out, but that's like a selfish want,
I'll be honest, I kind of did want to go to SGF, but like I think you'd see me like tweaking out, wanting to go play my Switch 2.
Exactly. And people don't understand that most of the time when you get sent to SGF, that's out of your pocket.
It's going to get a lot worse too, because that in America, at least, we have that whole real ID shit that makes it difficult to like get on a plane. So I got to go get like, I got to go to the DMV, get an updated passport or like a updated real ID. Going to the DMV is a fucking nightmare.
A real ID is half the amount of cost as a passport, so just get a passport.
Oh no, that's the thing. Yeah. But like I have to, we can talk about this off this, but I have like a bunch of like documents I need to go get separately from that. And it's just like, I'm just not going to fucking get on a plane. At least not for a while.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it sucks. Like making this a job and doing the hardcore like job things related to it has never been fun. So
everybody
it isn't. Sorry. Yeah.
Everybody does this job at a loss because they have a passion for the sector that they are working in. But the problem, and like, it's not to say that it's exhausting and that it's never like fulfilling, because there's definitely like,
I got drunk on a boat. And that's how I met Cause.
In a lot of situations like this, traditionally, like outside of this kind of thing, and this is usually like what we're talking about usually is like, it's this bad usually for like internet based digital sort of trade. I call them the digital trades. Cause like if you go talk to like prop makers or like makeup effects people or like, I don't know, like blacksmiths and stuff like that. And like, it is equally stressful, but a lot of the time, like they get more consistent, like joy out of this sort of thing. Whereas the problem with doing this kind of stuff that we do as a job is that a lot of this stuff is stuff that you do to relax or stuff that like you do as an outlet. And it becomes exhausting because if you express interest in something in the video game space to your employer will take that as a sign that you want to do work for that. So if you express interest, so what ends up happening is that your interest becomes exploited. And when your interests get exploited, it's the same way that people lose interest in reading as they go through school. It is like, I don't want to read anymore. Why? Oh, well, because someone's telling me that I have to do it for XYZ reason. So I don't want to do it anymore. That's what ends up happening with this sort of thing, is like, I don't want to play video game. I don't want to play that game anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. Why? Because now it's like an obligation. I wanted to do it because it seemed fun, but now it's like anytime I express interest in something, someone is going to try to make me work and produce something for them out of it.
I also want to say that we are also past the age of quote unquote rock star journalism, because a lot of developers and publishers don't really value what press does for them anymore, because they feel that they're getting bigger returns on influencers. I remember someone telling me that for one game published by Activision before it was ABK, that they had literally flown journalists out and given them their own little like cabanas to play the game.
Lovely.
Like they would really invest in these trips and like basically like be like, hey, this is an incredible experience, etc., which, you know, I guess in its own way is like a form of like coercion, right? But I really don't think people write based around that. So people hearing this and being like, oh, they were treating journalists so well, no wonder they were saying nice things. And it's like, no, a lot of us, most of us, in fact, are immune to that.
Kaz and I got so drunk on that boat, me more than Kaz, and I think we both left to write like kind of middling things about that One Piece game.
Yeah, because it was whatever. It was literally
fun.
Whatever. And like, and if a publisher and developer actually cares about their product and what they're putting out, they will value that feedback more over someone, as GC says, glazing it. That's the thing, right? But yeah, we're past the point of it being a steady career, of these trips actually being paid for by devs, pubs. It goes back to, God, I just want to be a watchmaker.
And that's why it's exhausting, because I guarantee you, if people got paid better for this sort of thing, it would be less exhausting. I gotta be honest. It would feel less exhausting. Better put. But yeah, we'd be more. I would definitely be way more encouraged to put work out there as an influencer and or a journalist if I was getting paid enough money to do so. Like if I was getting paid like sustainable money, I would be regularly just constantly like, I've made you 20 pieces in a month. Like I would be doing that because I would have security and I would feel good.
If I would get paid off of clicks for some of the shit I've written, I wouldn't have to fucking work like for a year. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking insane. But yeah, regarding like getting paid enough, there are actually some pieces that I've turned down regarding cultural crit because I did not think it was paying enough versus the risk of me getting doxxed and harassed online.
Yeah. And that's part of the exhaustion, and adds to the stress and all that stuff. So yeah, we do truly miss it as a hobby only sometimes, a lot of time, many times.
Exclusively do it as a hobby. It's why you'll see me like write less and less, and why like personally I'll take a lot of like just volunteer writing for Nintendo Insider, where like that doesn't pay, but like I like just writing about games, and I like the guy who runs it, and it's like it's a full, like, you know, he's fully transparent with it, as like he's like, hey, you know, I don't make enough money on the site. And I'm like, no, man, I'm just doing it because I like, that's the hobby part of it. I have so much more fun doing that sometimes than anything with like where money gets involved. And it's just because it's just like, I it's more trouble than it's worth. But like, even now I can't say I'm like fully like, I do it as a hobby because I make videos. We have a podcast. We still write for like sites anyway.
Clearly, we still enjoy some of it if we're still doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically.
We love yapping and running our stupid big mouths.
I love writing. I like talking about things. I love critique. But
I love being a hater, you know?
Yeah. Comes down to that, really. But yeah,
exactly.
Keeping it going, though. Thank you for the question. That was very good. Speedwagon asks, if my math is right, this next episode of Deltarune, this next episode of the podcast will come out the day before Deltarune. Yes, it did, because I brought it up earlier on the podcast. And then I read this question separately. I didn't steal your shit. For the Burnouts who have played Deltarune, what are your hopes, dreams, expectations to see? So this is a Cullen question.
Yes. Lead the way.
For the Burnouts who haven't, what incomprehensible, out of context spoilers or guess what incomprehensible out of context spoilers you'll see scattered across your timeline for the next month or two.
Spamton.
Dick pic leak.
Spamton.
No.
What?
Spamton dick pic leak.
I think
No.
Spamton will probably whip that dick out.
Now's your chance to be a big shot.
Oh my god.
But see, that's the thing. Like for me, a lot of times, at least like fucking coming off like the previous question, I'm like often so fucking burnt out of like the whole like online process of like, oh, these are my expectations and I got to do this, and that. And because of how like contentified it's all gotten, that most of the time when I play a new game now, I come in with no expectations whatsoever. Like my brain is turned off and it'll turn back on when I'm playing the fucking game. But like for this, I think I'm going to try to be vague about this for people who have not caught up with Deltarune. But I'd like to get a bit more of the story progressed. I'd like to learn even a little bit more of kind of what's going on with Chris. Because there's a lot of really fascinating stuff that's like being set up. And typically as like the cliffhanger endings for these chapters. I like chapter 2 a lot, but I do want to learn more, like, and this is rare for me to say, I want more plot. I want to see more about like what they're really doing with this, even though chapter 2 was fantastic for like solidifying the character and like the dynamics between your main cast. I want to know more about what's actually like going on. So I'm hoping like in either of those chapters, we kind of like push the narrative a bit further, which it seems like we will with the end of chapter 2, but who knows? But besides that, I think the thing I really love the most about both Deltarune chapters is that it doesn't feel like they're ever resting on their laurels, and they're like relying on the characters that like people are elected 1 to lead the entire story in like 2, like all your fun little this is going to mean nothing to my co-host, but like Lancer was like the big new guy in chapter 1, not really like too prevalent in chapter 2. There's like one guy who kind of makes like a bigger appearance, but chapter 2 is like brand new characters pretty much, and a bunch of wacky fun characters like the Queen and Spamton. And it's just like more like they keep their, with this chapter set up, it seems like every chapter is its own little like completely unique world. And if they keep this going, like I'm really excited to see like the new cast for every chapter. I can't wait to see the Blorbos we get. Like the fact that they have to one up Spamton is like really fun. And I think he can do it. This Toby Fox guy has a really cool imagination, and he's very creative in making these like really charming
this
characters.
Toby Fox guy, he's gonna go places.
He's gonna go places. I'm just saying. He's a clever. He makes those Quackchunguses real good.
This Deltarune thing reminds me of a little game called Undertale. Amazing.
Little thing called Homestuck. I don't know if you heard of it, Cope.
What's a Homestuck?
Exactly.
Oh yeah, you do. That's a.
But yeah, like I that's the thing. I just like I want every chapter to continue to just be completely different and be new and fresh, and I think they will. And I have really high hopes, and I'm very, very, very excited to sit there in line for my Switch 2 at midnight playing Deltarune Chapter 3 on my Switch.
Excellent.
It's going to be fun. Anyway, what do y'all think?
Spamton.
Do you need me to? Yeah,
Spamton.
Spamton.
Spamton. That's it.
And
That's
GC.
all I gotta say. Spamton.
GC. This ain't GC's thing.
Oh, you want me to talk about?
No, it said the burnouts who have not played it. What incomprehensible, out of context spoilers?
I told you,
you'll see.
Spamton dick pic leak.
Oh yeah, fair enough. All right, yeah.
For me, it's the whole thing. It's all Spamton.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do expect Spamton will be back. Like you have a little hub area. They have
human
established
instrumentality, Spamton, giant Spamton in the lake. It's gonna be great.
Like I have a feeling that you'll get to like go back to your like little base and just like talk to Spamton a little bit.
And Sans will be there. Why not?
No, Sans lives at your hometown, and he may or may not have fucked your mom.
That's awesome.
It's pretty sick. You're like adopted by Toriel, and she like divorced your dad, and you like Sans, like you move in. Well, Sans moves into town. He's like, I got familiar with your mom. And I'm like, you're so cool, Sans. Sans, you're my dad.
That's great.
It's great that he fucked my mom. Anyway, keep it going. I'm going through our questions thing
There's
and
two at the bottom.
seeing GC write, I hate Undertale, I hate Toby Fox. So
don't
I
hate
gotta
Toby
scroll
Fox.
past that.
I actually think Toby Fox is very talented.
I know. I'm giving you shit.
I also just think Toby Fox made a game for Tumblr people.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's sick.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm still scrolling. Okay. This one's pretty good. What's a game widely regarded as a spiritual successor you like a lot, despite not being the case for the thing it sent up? Which
Anarchy reigns. Sorry.
not like the easy. I have to think of like spiritual successors, like good examples of that, because in most instances, a lot of spiritual successors are bad.
Yeah.
Or made
like
by
Anarchy
the same
reigns.
people.
It's not good. It's
Or
not
made
good, but I
by
love it.
Inafune. Fucking Mighty Number 9 is the biggest punching bag ever, but it is for a reason.
Oh, Bloodstained?
No,
Inafune
Mighty
is
Number
such a
9.
Fucking loser.
No, I mean in terms of spiritual successors. Bloodstained.
Bloodstain's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was like, is like Cause shooting Bloodstain? I'm like, do we not
Bloodstain's
like
pretty
Bloodstain? I
good.
didn't.
No, Bloodstained is fine. I really wanted to interview Iga dressed like a vampire, but he was not at Gamescom. So
Oh,
That's
yeah.
that would've been cool.
God, I'm trying to think, like, because again, like Deltarune's like the fucking, like, it's right there.
I want to say The Last Remnant is a spiritual successor to the Saga series, but it's also
You're
made by
right.
the Saga guy.
No, but you're so right.
But spiritual
so right.
successors are made by the guy of Old Thing.
Yeah.
But the
Lost
only difference-
Odyssey. Lost
Odyssey. Yeah, that's
Blue
that's a good one too.
Dragon.
I don't know about Blue Dragon. It's a little slow.
Blue
but,
Dragon's bad. But
yeah, we'll
Fantasian's neat.
it can hang. It can come to the party. Fantasian, that's also a good one.
It's neat. I don't think that second half is as good as a lot of people do, but like I respect that that game becomes a game for sickos and it like tricks people into
Yeah.
playing a sicko RPG about being really good at video games, and I just go, you know what? Thumbs up.
Spiritual successor, picking one is difficult because like usually good spiritual successors just end up being like their own thing. Like they market it as a spiritual successor, but like if it's a good one, you don't really identify it that way. You just identify it as like like an actual evolution addition to the genre and modernizing it and keeping like strong parts of its, like it just a good spiritual successors are no longer spiritual successors when they become accepted as the successor. You know what I mean? Like they just become the new sort of like staple of that series. They become part of the classics. They become part of the history. They become part of the tapestry, if you will. So it's hard for me to identify a spiritual successor because anything that I would give that title to is something that is so strong that it really just belongs. It really should just be considered its own thing.
And a lot of spiritual successors kind of like rise from the ashes of a disaster situation where capitalism did a oopsie doo doo. You know what? Y'all can say it doesn't count, but I think I'm gonna stick with this one. Death Stranding.
I'm gonna say Death Stranding 2 when it comes out because of
probably
Solid
that.
Snake. Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, because like that is the spiritual successor to Metal Gear in terms of design. Like,
yeah,
and it's good. Honestly, fucking the fact that we got Death Stranding preview so early and all of them are like for 2 and all of them are really glowing. I'm actually pretty excited about that game. I'm glad I have this like Switch 2 hype to keep me from thinking about Death Stranding, but also fuck, I need to catch up. That game that sounds like it's gonna be crazy fun.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah. And lastly, Snigs asks, inspired by Expedition 33 and trying to be a more positive person, what games do you think should have been / should be a bigger deal than they were at release?
The Last Remnant.
absolutely. Signalis.
Neo, The World Ends With You.
These are all really good picks. Good job, everybody. We all knew an answer right off the top of our head.
I want to be the least annoying Neo The World Ends With You fan. Because I feel bad that every time someone talks about, and I did it myself technically, but not as bad. Every time someone talks about that fucking game, it has to be about the fact that the marketing failed it and that the sales were bad. And it's just like, just talk about the game. Like,
yeah, I don't know anything at all about Neo The World Ends With You, or just The World Ends With You, period, because nobody ever talks about it in like any concrete manner. They just talk around it, so it's always so weird for me.
I think Neo The World Ends With You is my favorite Square Enix game from the last like 5 years.
That's wild.
There's something like that is so special about that thing. And it only makes sense that it was a commercial failure, but it's like, we got to stop talking about the fact that the game had no marketing. First of all, yes, it did. It didn't fail because it had bad or no marketing. It failed because, I'll be real here,
The audience is very niche.
no one cared about like The World Ends With You was a niche game. If it was a massive success,
right?
it would have gotten a sequel like a couple years later.
Yeah, like it's. Oh, sorry, I accidentally opened one of my games. Weird.
I was gonna say, hey GC, how you liking Monster Hunter Wilds?
Yeah, that was weird. I was just scrolling through and I guess I double clicked on accident. But anyway, yeah, like it just like I don't know, games that should have been a bigger deal. I'll tell you what, honestly, sometimes you just get unlucky.
Yeah.
Sometimes you release in the same day as Breath of the Wild, and you're forgotten forever. And then you release the sequel on Tears of the Kingdom.
No, wasn't it Elden Ring?
I think it was Elden Ring.
Yeah.
I can't feel bad for them. I want to, but I can't feel bad for them. Like, if I were them, the second one of those other things got announced, I would delay the fucking game.
Yeah.
The thing is, the people that play Elden Ring are not gonna play the world. I'm using the cake talk analogy right now. We're talking Walmart cake versus artisanal cake. The people that buy the Walmart cake are not gonna be buying the artisanal cake. The audience for The World Ends With You.
Oh no.
Really? Oh what? What are we talking about?
GC was saying Horizon.
Oh, Horizon?
How Horizon released their game on the same day as Breath of the Wild.
Okay,
which culturally eclipsed the fuck out of Horizon, despite Horizon selling pretty good.
Okay, never mind. That analogy's gone. Never mind. That was a stupid fucking decision. Sorry, I was reading about Final Fantasy 14 subscription numbers continually dropping, and I just like, in my heart, there was a burst of warmth.
No, and then for the second Horizon game, they released it on the same day as Elden Ring.
Who the fuck would do that?
Yeah.
That's like people being like, we're delaying because of Monster Hunter, which is the smart thing to do. Or, oh, thank God we can finally release our game this year because Grand Theft Auto isn't coming out until 2026.
God, nothing pisses me off more than seeing how many fucking trailers we got this year of just 2025 when the games look done as fuck. And it's like, you're just doing this because you're scared of Grand Theft Auto. Trust me, y'all. Game industry, I know it's like worth being a little bit scared about, but if they actually release that game for $100, I don't think you have anything to worry about.
No, I don't think so either, because we're all fucking poor. What they should do is and this is something they did with like Red Dead and GTA 5 at some point, was they actually made it so you could buy the online component for like $30 to $20. And you could buy the base game like without it. And I think it was like maybe cheaper that way or something. But also because people just wanted to do like the online versus buying the full game. And I hope they use that strategy going forward, because there are going to be a lot of people that only want to play GTA 6 online.
That's the thing. GTA 5, like when people think like, oh, GTA 5 is the moneymaker, GTA Online is the moneymaker. People buy GTA 5 as like kind of like a whatever because they just want to play the online.
Somebody got really fucking mad at me for saying that on Blue Sky, and they were like, no, the base game has actually like eclipsed the sales of the online version. And I'm like, you do understand that they only made the online version as like a separate purchase within like the past like 4 years, right? Like you had to buy the base game to actually access the online servers for like 90% of that game's lifespan.
Also, this is circumstantial evidence, so take it with a grain of salt. I worked at GameStop for many, many years. Something weird with that game. I saw the same people buy new copies and return and sell them, and then come back and buy new copies again when they felt like playing it. I'm pretty sure most of the sales of that game are people just rebuying it after they get bored of other stuff and just wanting to the only game I've ever seen this on, of people selling the game and then buying a new copy of the game again. Like, a bunch of people did that.
Super weird.
And like, I know that like the money people over there are like, yes, sell it for 100. We can get away with it. You can't get away with it.
We're poor. We can't afford shit. Clair Obscur did so well because it's $50. Let's be real.
The people who bought like all those quadrillions of copies of GTA 5, a lot of them did it when it was on sale, and a lot of them did it because that was the only game they played. They bought their one game and they wanted to just play that. They just keep, and in many cases, sometimes they kept buying that one game, but they did it when it was cheap.
Yes.
Like, and the economy was in a better state back then when I worked at GameStop in like the late 2010s. You are not getting people to buy, like, already the $17 game thing has not been a universal like success.
Acceptance. No, it hasn't.
Games are selling less and less.
And I've done like rough math. It's about 15% in loss of sales. If you sell 15% fewer copies, as long as you don't sell more than that, as long as you don't lose more than that, you break even or make more money in some cases. But the higher that price goes, the further that's going to go down.
And it's like, let's,
that's going to impact it.
I'll give Kaz like a little like excuse to be a bit of a hater, but like one of the reasons Final Fantasy 16 didn't blow the world away with
because it was $70
in sales is because it was $70 fucking dollars.
If it was like $60 or $50, people would fucking buy that because that game is worth $50 to $40.
You know what sells mid? A decent price tag.
That is true. That is
and Square
true.
Enix never discounts their fucking games. So like, what's the point?
I mean, they do
when that game came out on PC, well, like rarely, Final Fantasy 12, I think it took like 4 years for it to get a discount to where it dropped below like $40.
What they don't do is lower the base price. They go on sale, but they never lower the base price, which I actually think is the real problem. Where it's like there's some Dragon Quest games that are still the same price they were when they showed up on Steam years ago, and it's like, what are we doing?
What they should have done to move those PC copies of that game is, if you bought it, if you pre-ordered it, it'd be like $20 to $30, as opposed to like get it on PC for like $70 or some shit.
Get it cheaper when you pre-order. I like that.
And in some, like, a lot of games are doing that, like, cheaper if you pre-order thing, and that's smart. That is very smart. But like, look, $70, it works for some games, but it's like, I am really interested to see how $80 Nintendo games play out, and I don't know if it'll go well.
Kids are gonna get one game on their Nintendo Switch 2, and that's it.
Like we're
going back to the Game Boy era.
The thing about like, I don't think Mario Kart will be a good way to judge based on sales, because I think a lot of the sales are going to be the bundle where you're getting it for $50.
And also it's a launch. It's one of the very few Nintendo launch titles that we're getting.
Yeah.
Period.
I think we're going back to the era of, you guys remember when we were kids, and this unfortunately, Cullen, I don't think applies to you, but do you remember having a Game Boy Color?
I do.
I was a Game Boy Advance kid.
Oh, okay. You remember how we had maybe like 1 or 2 games on the Game Boy Color, and one of those games was Pokemon, and another one was like some sort of like off-brand title?
Yes.
I think we're going to go back to that. We're literally going to go back to that. We're going to have like one game that's going to last us for like, that we're going to keep replaying, like our children are going to replay for like 2 years. Then they're going to get one like off-brand like Peggy Sue dog simulator shit or whatever.
SpongeBob SquarePants, the game.
Exactly.
I think that's going to happen with a lot of like the AAA space. I have noticed though, there's a lot more like cheaper games in the like AA or indie side. And I think like that's I could buy
those games are like around the price games used to be. So that's not even that cheap in general.
Yeah.
But like compared to like I'm not like eight. If you try to sell me $80 Zelda, even I'm gonna be like, oh, I don't know about that. So the fact that Rockstar is trying to be like, yo, $100, you're fucking stupid. Also, I'm gonna go back to it. If Borderlands, y'all cannot get away with $80 Borderlands.
Okay,
you can
I'm
lick
gonna
my
fucking drag
fucking
Borderlands. Yes.
Go.
Borderlands is not a fucking series that is worth that much. I'm sorry.
No.
Like it is just like pure fucking mind-numbing gameplay with some of the worst writing I've ever fucking experienced in my life. And it doesn't matter how many people they've pulled on for that. It's still going to be fucking meme lord cringe shit because that's the identity of the series. That's it.
Yeah.
And
and if I want to play a fucking game like that, I'll go play a fucking better version of it. I'm sorry. Like Borderlands, like, I don't know, 2 really kicked off because that was a game you could easily play with friends and you didn't have to be good at it. I'm sorry. You have to be fucking good at it. So anybody could play.
And like, that's the thing. Like, that's exactly it. Like Borderlands 2, like popped off. They don't understand that they're in a very casual market with this. And it's like Borderlands 3 did pretty good overall. Because again, $60 was like the normal for like a AAA game. And, you know, I also think a lot of that came from sales. That game went on sale like all the fucking time.
Oh, yeah.
So like a lot of people played Borderlands 3. The fact that this game is coming out in like 3 months and we don't even know how much it costs, go fuck yourself, Randy Pitchford. Like, this is directly talking about that post he made where he was basically like, if we sell it for $80, people will find a way to get it. Don't worry. And it's like, you do not understand how, like, you might have been able to get away with this for 70, but they would probably have like a decrease in sales. Fuck, no one's paying $80 for Borderlands. Like, you're going to get your enthusiasts, like the fucking crazed Borderlands enthusiasts, as you will for any of these. But like the enthusiasts are not the people who like get your games to be mega sellers. Elden Ring
you will not support your company off the sales to a niche audience. And the more expensive you make it, the more niche your audience becomes.
Elden Ring was a mega hit because of really good word of mouth built up over like 10 years. And because it was the game that they like, people heard their coworkers talking about and being like, "I'll check that out." Like, like a core audience was there and they are dedicated, but like, you're never gonna like be your mega hit super sellers unless you like, you know, you market your game good, you market it to people who like normal people, and you don't sell for ridiculous prices. Like,
okay, so I want to have a bet between us right now.
Okay, sure.
How many out of date memes are gonna be in Borderlands 4?
I don't think that it. Oh my god, there's no bet. Like, all of us are gonna like we're all pressing or running to press the button that says "Die, Randy Pitchford, die," and we're mashing it.
15. I'm gonna say 15.
They're gonna be like,
I'm gonna go 10.
I'm gonna go. I'll go big on this one. I'll go 75.
Oh my god.
It's just you open the game and they're just like pop, 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 but you're just being hit with it like, oh man, Claptrap comes in, it's like, we are gun maxing, and you're just like, ah, and you
the Rizzler.
Oh, the Rizzler's definitely gonna be in this game.
Yeah.
100%. Like, and now granted, I will detract this to the meme count, no matter how high it gets, I will detract it to 0 if you have a Ricardo Flick meme be in your game.
What the fuck is Ricardo Flick?
That's
it's classic. The guy who's like, you got something that I need. I'm gonna show you the picture.
I don't know what that is.
You know who it is.
No, you're gonna see the guy and be like, oh, it's the guy.
Hang on, Ricardo Flick?
No, here, I'm gonna. Oh yeah, GC
GIF.
posted the thing. Is this guy?
You know him.
You know him.
Oh, him. Okay.
Yeah. You know Ricardo.
If you're listening to this, Google Ricardo Flick. Nice chest.
Hopefully you get the one that only shows his top half.
No, you should go for the whole
Because
thing.
the full body gif is quite a jump scare.
Okay, I'm just gonna take your word for it.
But yeah, I don't know. It's we're entering a very interesting period, and you know what? Borderlands. I posted about this actually, and I'll reiterate. Borderlands, do the $80. We need one of these to be a
flop.
monument to the industry to say you're not getting away with this.
Yeah.
We need a colossal failure. It's not going to be Nintendo, at least not right away. So like Borderlands, it's up to you. You need to burn so bright and so hard that the world sees it.
See you, space cowboy.
Like if this goes as I'm thinking it will, and they actually pull this shit, which they should not, if they're really, really, really smart. If they sell this for $60, which they're not going to do, but if they did, you would get those sales.
You would 100% make.
You would get this. You would hit
Borderlands.
You would hit those numbers.
Yeah.
That you saw before. 70, I don't know about that, but there's a chance. You do 80 as a base price, and your game's gonna fucking burn.
My thing is always like, people are always like, oh, games are getting more expensive to make, this and that. I'm like, yeah, why is that? Why is that? Why are they getting more expensive to make? That's weird, don't you think? The technology's kind of, stagnating. Like, isn't that a problem? Isn't it a problem that the technology is like stagnating and like we haven't been able to, like, don't you think like by this point we would have been like found cheaper ways to develop this stuff and I don't know, like sort of like work towards that idea and sort of like what's the point of downsizing if you're also not going to make the, you know what I mean? Like if things are getting more expensive to make and you need like all these resources, then that would imply that you're expanding, but you're not. You're shrinking. So what's the deal? Oh, what a mystery. I wonder why games are so much more expensive to make now than they used to be. I wonder.
It's crazy too, because like there was a part of me that might have even gotten this new Borderlands game. Like,
yeah,
maybe at some point, because I can turn my brain off. I can shoot gun.
I always look at it with a curiosity, and I always end up buying it. Not on launch, but I end up buying it. I don't know if I'm going to buy this one just because like that leaves it. That fucking statement of like, oh, if you're a real fan, you'll pay for it. It's like you're a fucking bastard. Like, I'm sorry. I don't mean to besmirch you, but like, dude, if I was like selling something and I raised the price by $20 since the last time I put that thing out, and people ask me, why'd you make it 20? That's really expensive now. I don't know if I can afford that. And I try to like if I'm at a stall, like if I'm at a fucking stall and a fucking vendor was like, oh, if you're a true fan of this thing, you'd pay that money. I'd look him up and down and I'd flip his fucking table over onto him. Like, fuck you, dude.
So I'm glad I caught this before we just sent this out into the ether. I think
he did a follow-up.
He did a follow-up. It is an essay on Twitter.
Hey, I don't give a fuck.
What? I don't fucking care. He said
no, I don't either. Yeah. But it's hilarious. There's like, oh my god, like just to grab some like choice bits. It's just like, I think my trying to shorthand that using the phrase "real fans" triggered some people, and I saw it that it got inflated with making some big statement. I wasn't. And like to skip ahead a bit is he basically like says as well, like, we gotta understand the people who make games are real people. And I'm like, fuck off, Randy. May I recommend you consider the people who create entertainment you enjoy are actual real people who sincerely.
Yeah, but they're not getting the money, Randy. They're not getting the fucking money. My God.
They're being exploited, Randy.
Bonuses, Randy.
They're being exploited. Me paying for that game, Randy, doesn't put money in those people's pockets, Randy, because you and every other top level executive is finding ways to make your bonuses bigger, Randy, and that means they get paid less, Randy. You're firing people that are unionizing, Randy!
I'm not claiming I'm perfect, but I don't deserve any less latitude than anyone else. I choose to think of others with the most amount of charity, and I'm often surprised to discover some that jump to the worst possible way to consider a thing as doing that is just countered of my nature.
You're
Like,
losing.
Randy,
you're,
shut up.
You're fucking leaving USB sticks at medieval times, Randy. Don't fucking
You're not
talk
a
to me
magician,
about.
Randy.
Don't fucking try to like. I'm fucking calling you out for what you said. Don't try to fucking frame this as a fucking. Oh, think of the creatives that. Oh, you don't. Oh, you know, we always lose touch with the people that work on stuff. Fuck you. I haven't lost touch with that shit. You're just you're hiding behind your fucking workers to gain sympathy. Fuck you. No fucking pity. Stop exploiting your workers, and then we can talk about treating you with respect. You're not treating anybody with fucking respect. I don't care how nice you are to them in the office. Pay them more. Let them unionize. Give them better work hours.
If you're gonna charge $80 for a fucking game, you better fucking raise their wages, buddy.
I mean, I'm gonna stop because this is gonna turn into a 4-hour podcast where I yell for an hour and I filibuster.
All right, you know what? Then I'm calling it done here. We're fucking done. It's done.
We're not done just yet.
Cullen.
Randy,
Cullen,
I'm the demon on your shoulder. It would be really funny to not pay the bonuses and make the game $90.
Yeah.
Randy, I have your best
fucking
interest
done.
in mind.
We're done with you.
Anyways,
We're
thank
done
you.
with Borderlands.
Randy.
We're done with this podcast.
Randy.
It's over, everybody. We're not making another episode after
No, I
this.
meant just this
Just
episode.
kidding. Just kidding. We are. Just kidding. We are.
Please tune in. Please tune in.
Yeah, please tune in next week.
You can
We'll
make
see you
it
next time, everybody.
$100.
Bye bye.
1 million copies.